program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, welcome on board. We are sitting here in Kenya in the beautiful Masai Mara, and what an incredible scene this is. Mainly wildebeest, also a few little Thompson's gazelles there that you can see waggling their tails, and a handful of zebra. The migration is certainly heating up, and every day more and more wildebeest stream from Tanzania into Kenya, both on the east and west of the Mara River. So we've experienced a lot of change over the last week, and it's been really, really awesome. If those of you haven't been following the action closely, you've been missing out because it's been absolutely epic. My name is Scott. I'm teamed up with Andre on camera. We are 100% entirely live, so please do send through your questions to #SafariLive on Twitter, and we can chat. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know what you want to see, and then we can do our best to make you all as happy as possible. It sounds like we're having a few issues with the other two vehicles in the Mara, so we're not expecting to see them anytime soon, but you'll be glad to know there's a couple of people down in South Africa, on Chuma, in the Sabi Sands, who are also going to be taking you on safari there. So lots to look forward to. Oh, we've got a vulture. Well done, Andre. Straight in onto it. What? I wonder what this vulture spotted here. At this time of the year, there literally is just so much food around for all the carnivores, including these vultures who are scavengers. They're allowed animals that have already died. So, it seems like I may be having some comms issues. Sorry everyone, well, I couldn't hear what Megs was telling me down in Juma. She's directing the show, but I have got the message now to send you off to somebody. I'm sure you're going to have a good time, and we'll catch up a little bit later. Good afternoon. Terribly sorry about the audio issues that have been happening in the last few moments. We are trying to figure it all out, but never fear, we are here live from Juma in the Sabi Sands with the little chief, Hosana. He has not moved very far away from where he was found this morning, and he has been busy this afternoon. Some people saw him on the dam cam trying to hunt a male nyala, although he missed. My name is Steve, welcome. I'm joined by Fergus on camera, and it is a beautiful day here in the Sabi Sands. It's almost 30 degrees, so that would make it 60, that would make it about almost 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is a beautiful day down here in South Africa, and please feel free to send through your questions and comments to #SafariLive. We'd love to hear from you. The little chief is up for a little bit of a slumber, and as you noticed, we have Scott Dyson on safari with us this afternoon, as well as James Hendry will be out shortly. and we're going to spend a few moments with the little chief, and I would really like to go and follow up on where we potentially left or lost those lions this morning, because I don't think this guy is going anywhere in the next little while, but we will see what happens the next 5 to 10 minutes. But it is quite warm, quite blustery, but he seems to have chased off all of the game in and around Voyatella watering hole. We're not far, but 30 meters just to the sort of western or eastern side of it, lying up underneath his favorite little magic guarri bush. And he has been having a little bit of a dream. You can see him kicking his leg every now and again. And I don't think he's going to be getting up to too much unless some animals come down to drink, but there are none to be seen anywhere in the vicinity. I think his antics of chasing that male Nyala have scared them all off. But we do have Tristan Dix in the nest cam this afternoon, so he'll be keeping a watchful eye as well. Heather, we are extremely lucky. I think it's been almost a month and 3 weeks that he has been pretty much in the same place. And Tristan was getting a bit worried yesterday morning when I had Hosanna all the way down on our southern fire break. And I said to him, don't worry, he'll come back. And lo and behold, he was seen on the dam cam last night. And when Craig and I came out this morning, we found him in about 5 minutes. We had to use the thermal camera to have a look around because he was lying flat, and he just popped his head up to say, I'm over here, I'm over here. And then we left him, and he has not moved. He's moved a little bit, but he's in the same sort of place. I think he's gotten quite used to this technique and strategy of kind of hanging around this watering hole and catching himself some food. Before we went out on safari this morning, from further north from where we are, we did hear what we think was Tingana calling. So I'm sure he's in the area. He might just be in the other side of the boundary of Buffelshoek. It's hard to say. Very hard to get an exact distance when a male leopard is calling, but it seemed to be about as far away as our fire break. Anyway, not directly here by the dam or Voyatella Pan or Gallagher Pan, as we've had so many times. Okay, well, we're probably going to spend 1 more minute here with the little prince, and in the meantime, let's go over to James Hendry and see what he's up to.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to this end of the Sunset Safari. My name is James Hendry. On camera today we have got Sebastian Rombi. He is not flying his Mirage today. He is in fact just operating as a cameraman today. So he's also acting as a lookout on the crow's nest at the back of the vehicle. Please talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter and of course the chat stream on YouTube. Now, what we are doing is looking for leopards, obviously, it's what we do here. And we found 2 sets of tracks. The first set was Thandi. And Thandi was continued in a straight line from where they left her this morning. She crossed into this area here, and by this area I mean the area somewhere between Philemon's Dip and Philemon's Cutline and Rebecca's Road. Now, if you're not looking at a map, don't worry about that, that's not relevant. A lot of people do like to look at the maps. And then we've also found tracks of a male leopard going around here, and Steve was mentioning Tingana. And it is entirely possible that it is him that has come up into this area. They've both gone, I think, into that block over there. We're just going to drive around the block and then we'll start trying to home in on them during the course of the afternoon. It's unlikely that they are moving around at too great a speed in this heat. I think it's probably around, let me just say 32 degrees or so, which is about 89 Fahrenheit. It's definitely hotter than 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be very unpleasant. Yeah, so there are no more tracks on the road, so I'm pretty sure they've gone in here somewhere. Which makes it sound relatively easy, you know. Surely they must be in there, so you just go and look in there, right? That's what you'd think. A leopard is inordinately good at hiding, of course. As we know from the fact that we don't see them every day. We see them most days. Especially when they're sitting in front of the dam cam trying to kill Nyala in broad daylight. That would have been quite a feat had Hosanna achieved that. Not entirely surprised he didn't. I don't believe, having watched it, that he was that serious. I think he got close enough to have leapt onto its back if he'd really want to, wanted to, and I think the time it took him to actually make his go makes me think that he was thinking, oh, I don't know about this, I think that's very big for me. That was the impression I got. Now I have only once managed to pull off a spot of a leopard sitting on a termite mound from this vantage here, and I'm going to try it again now with the use of my binoculars, even though I'm 99.99% sure that the thing I've just seen is a bush. I'm just going to get into a position that Seb can also see the mound. You have no idea how many trees suddenly get in your way when you're trying to look somewhere. Yeah, there we go. I think it's a bush. In fact, I think I've looked at this bush before and thought, that's a leopard. Yes, it is the same bush. Uh-huh.
This one you're looking at?
Yes, that's the one. There's a little sort of tawny-ish coloured bush underneath there that looks sort of remotely leopardish. Thank you very much, Megan. She says, good try. Well, we're going to keep on making good tries. Let's go back across to Scott Dyson and the great thundering hooves of the migration.
Well, good stuff over there as well as over here. What another great scene. I'm not too sure how much of my first attempt of saying hello went, but I'm up here in the Masai Mara. I'm not sure if the other vehicles that we're planning on heading out are actually able to, because they are experiencing a few mechanical issues. But I'm certainly looking forward to having you on board. My name is Scott. I'm teamed up with Jandre on camera. The plan is to go and look for some lions, ideally the sausage tree pride, but we'll take whatever we can get. And the good news is that the area that we're going to look for these lions, there are a lot of wildebeest, so who knows, maybe we will see some action. This area, as beautiful as it is and plentiful with game, is not kind of the right area. We're making our way into the right spots away from the Mara River, where we were earlier perusing in the hope of getting a crossing. We missed one by 10 minutes, and it didn't look like too much else was happening, so we decided to come on over here. Getting a little bit of drizzle, so it's quite a moody afternoon. Beautiful light coming through when the sun does manage to break through the clouds, but there are quite a few clouds brewing, as well as a little bit of drizzle that we're getting from time to time, but it's actually quite refreshing for now and not going to prevent the safari going on. Marvelous. Now every single day we are noticing greater and greater numbers of these animals streaming into Kenya, both on the eastern and western side of the Mara River. The kind of migration comes in from two different angles, and usually the ones that come in from the eastern side of the river, which is the direction we're looking at over there now, are the ones that cross the Mara River. The ones that come in from the west, kind of behind us, those don't tend to cross the Mara River too much. They don't have to cross through the gauntlet. But it is a beautiful afternoon, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys and answering your questions, so please do send through questions using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. If you are watching for the first time, let us know. We will be able to thus confirm that we are in fact entirely live. It's my best when you get people that don't believe it, and then you can bust that myth nice and quickly. Very good, we're going to keep moving. We've got about 10 miles to go until we get into the right area to start looking for the lions, and while we head off there, I think you're going to be jumping back on board with Tristan, who's looking for Hosanna.
Well, some people think I look like Tristan, Scott, and people think we all look the same. No, we've left Hosanna. He's going to be flat. I know that there's people watching him from the dam cam and from Tristan in the nest cam dam. The buffalo that I left this morning were from where eventually we left them. They stood up and they were kind of moving in a northwesty direction. And from that position, I'm going to assume they would have gone towards Buffelshoek Dam. But we're going to loop around from there, go back into Torchwood, go check out Torchwood Dam, and then see if maybe those lions are lying around there somewhere. They won't have gone too far. I was disappointed I didn't find them this morning, so let's see if we can pick up on where they perhaps are. We had a few signal glitches, just being down in the drainage there. Sometimes can be like that. Lots of baboon tracks in the road heading in this direction. Maybe we bump to a true baboon soon, but it's quite windy. It's lovely. This is a warm front that has arrived. I can feel it. And what often follows once, I know we desperately need it. We desperately need it. Last weekend we had a very similar sort of event. Led to 2 days of spatterings of rainfall. I don't mind the rain. We're all a little bit waterproof. It's just the equipment that's a bit of a problem. Scott to be expecting some spatterings of rain this evening. We'll probably be experiencing tomorrow or on Saturday by the now. All depends on how hard this wind blows. My mom's down in the East Coast, and they've already had 2 days of rain, so maybe this is putting that in. Could be. Well, we're going to continue on. Let's go to Buffelshoek Dam. Always a good place to check in this sort of weather, and then we'll go check those lions out. But in the meantime, let's go and have a look at James and how he's getting on with his trip.
Well, it's going to get a lot hotter, and so that's what I'm telling myself as I sit here, sweating slightly. It is certainly going to get hotter as the summer comes in. And I know that for many of you sitting in the northern hemisphere, that must be a slightly depressing thing to hear. But we are going to get summer fairly soon, and you're going to have winter. And that your winters, of course, are that much longer than ours. But you could always come and live in Africa. In this part of Africa, and then you wouldn't have that problem. There is our first mammal of the day, Sebastian. Now I want you not to get too excited, all right? It is, of course, a female duiker, otherwise known as a unicorn. Can you see her? There she goes. She doesn't like us at all. This is why she is leaving. She is afraid of us and thinks we might try and kill her and eat her. She is wrong. We would never do that. That was fantastic, wasn't it? That was really a magnificent opening sighting. Yes. Let's continue. We haven't had any further leopard tracks, which I'm quite pleased about. It means that they haven't crossed out of this block somewhere. I'm still doing a full circuit of the block. And then we'll just quickly check the water hole at Treehouse. And see if we don't find something there. Starless, a pack of 4 wild dogs? No, I don't know where they are. I was tagged in a post by James Richard on Facebook today about wild dogs. I don't know if it was about that. I haven't had a chance to read it. I saw it just before I came on drive. I'm not sure about those 4 wild dogs though, or what's happened to them. But it would be very interesting to find out. I suspect that post has a lot to do with them. Also, interestingly, they have found the wild dog den in the Manuleti. So just in the southern parts of the Manuleti, they have found the wild dog den. Only 7 pups, as far as I can tell. Those pups will now be close on 4 months old, I would have thought. Maybe not quite 4, 3 certainly. Oh! Scott's gone from one of the most exuberant expressions of planet Earth's life all the way to death.
Yes, we certainly do have a carcass, but that's not what you're looking at just yet. It's somewhere over here. But another incredible scene in the midst of the migrations. Interestingly, there's not 1 but 2 kills in this area. The other one's quite far away off the road, so it's going to be difficult to see it, but we've noticed a lot of vultures also plummeting down there and squabbling over. Let's actually watch them squabbling. There seems to be more action. They're kind of at our 12 o'clock genre. We'll just see their wings flapping up as there they go, well done. And maybe there's more food to fight over there, because just a second ago I saw lots of squabbling and wings flaying up into the air. Let's see if they don't do another performance for us. Interesting stuff about wild dogs in the Monyelere. It's one animal we don't get to see here, and it sure would be incredible to see a pack of wild dogs terrorizing the migrating herds of wildebeest. It would certainly create many a stampede. Very, very good. So I'm not too sure who is responsible for killing these wildebeest. I'm guessing lions, but it would be really interesting to know how many wildebeest die every day just of old age or kind of natural causes, not necessarily being killed by a lion or a crocodile or the Mara River, and the obstacles that it provides or presents. Ooh, I can feel the drizzle is beginning to increase a little bit. But for now we're not going to have to drop the flaps, but I'm hoping it stays this way. Nothing worse than having to drop the flaps, because then it makes it very difficult for us to show you around. Sir Cat, you would like to know if there are certain carcasses that vultures will not in fact eat. Not many that I know of. Just about anything that's dead, a vulture will try and eat. I mean, it may get to a point that it's just rotted into a soup, but until such points, most predators will feed on quite well matured carcasses that you or I would never even comprehend being able to do. Quite a nice composition here with those two big lappet-faced vultures and the slightly smaller white-backed vulture in the foreground. The lappet-faced vultures tend to hang out in pairs. That's how you most typically see them, whereas the other ones move around in kind of bigger flocks or on their own. Marvelous. Sinek, you would like to know what other animals scavenge other than the vultures. Well, interestingly, as we came onto the scene here, we noticed a warthog, of all animals, running away from the carcass. And in the Masai Mara last year, it was the first time or place I'd ever seen warthogs fighting over the vultures for the carcasses. So that's quite interesting that they will feed on meat. Most pigs are omnivorous, and I guess warthogs enjoy the migration bounty as well. Other than that, jackals, servals from now and then. Taylor documented a serval scavenging, actually contesting some hyena for a carcass, and the hyena gave into it, which was a small miracle. Nobody on the planet would think that hyena would give in to a much smaller serval. What else? Scavengers. The hyenas, of course. Oh, Genre, we've got a vulture dropping in. 12 o'clock. Let's see if you can get it. Oh, you're too smooth. Well done, man. Oh, well done. How cool is that? Imagine being able to do that. Oh! Seems like there's more action. They're coming in and flying out, and it's all happening here, but we're probably actually going to keep on moving, get deeper into the core of the sausage tree pride's territory in the hope that we will find them trying to snack on a wildebeest potentially. Very good. We're going to send you down to Tristan. Good luck.
Well, again, it is not Tristan Scott, it is Steve, but we will just keep playing that game. We found a couple herds of elephant. One has already drunk at Buffelshoek watering hole, and there's a second one that's coming down. They're a little bit tentative to cross the line, so we're just giving them a bit of space. They're going to suddenly get excited enough to just cross that line and move down to the watering point. The other one, as I said, we got you just too late. They just finished up. We tried to get in a nice position to watch them dust bath. They were throwing dust all over themselves, and was giving a nice indication of the wind direction. And right now the wind is blowing straight from us to them, so maybe that's why they're a bit tentative. But the thirst is going to overwhelm them shortly, and they are going to move down to the watering hole for a drink. Here's one of the youngsters. Tracy, thank you. I love finding elephants. I'm always very excited to find them. They are such special animals, especially when you see them playing in the water. And I'm hoping that these ones will. It is that kind of day, you know, when animals are very dry, the palate is dry, the wind is dry, everything is just uncomfortable for them, and all they want to do is quench it. Here we go, that's the one coming down, and if it crosses that line, the rest should follow suit. Here we go, they are starting to come now. You know, the wind makes all sorts of animals a little bit jumpy. Bulls wouldn't be too concerned now. It's only animals with youngsters, or elephants with youngsters. But we had some impala as well on their way down, and they were very jumpy. The wind kind of makes it difficult for them to determine where any danger might be coming from. So that's why you often find animals on windy days drinking in the heat of the day when the predators are at their least active. Like right now, for example. Here we go. The momentum is about to overwhelm this one. As one more comes from behind, you'll see as that one bolsters it, the momentum is going to pick up, and they're probably both going to start moving down the hill. Jagged, no, that story that was shot years ago is not true. All sorts of other things were undertaken to make those animals all look drunk. Elephants feed on, I mean, I'm not saying elephants can't get drunk, but to be able to ferment, rotten fruit ferments, but it doesn't make the alcohol that most human beings create. That requires different types of technology. Otherwise, we would just walk around and pick up fruit off the floor to have ourselves a little party. It requires more than just a little bit of fermentation under the tree. So there was a video doing its rounds years ago of baboons and all sorts of animals getting very drunk, but that, I'm afraid, had a bit of human influence. So they want to come down. There's very little youngster there. There's one adult who's at the back. She hasn't materialized again. I think she's trying to communicate with the other herd that's left. She's trying to figure out, okay, what happened here? Can we go down? They are quite patient individuals, but eventually that smell of the water is just going to overwhelm them. You're going to see here, she's coming now. As soon as she comes down, you're going to see now, Meg, just if I can have one moment, this one is now going to come. Now the momentum is picking up. You see how they all are now following Mum. Mum is the leader. She was the one making the decision. The little youngster being very, very excited. She's about to go and get herself very, very wet. Very cool. And we're going to also turn our car around and get onto the other side of the wall so we can get a nice view of these elephants doing their thing. And in the meantime, let's go over to James with an animal who would probably be as excited to see the water as the elephants.
Well, yes, I suppose it would be excited to see water. I'm not entirely sure. It would be excited to see the water that we've come towards. We have come towards Treehouse Waterhole, which, as far as I can make out, has been, well, rendered fairly unusable by Scuba Steve. He seems to have befouled it somewhat. It is now a green and eutrophic place where no animal will come to drink except the humble terrapin and perhaps one of the waterbuck. Interestingly, the predators don't seem to have any issue at all drinking from any of these waterholes, but less and less we find the herbivores coming down to dirty green water that the hippos have soiled. And of course, we do know that hippos do cause eutrophication. In other words, they destroy the ability of the water to absorb oxygen, so it becomes an anaerobic environment, and that then brings with it the bloom of algae, anaerobic algae, which are toxic to animals. And so hippos can actually result in the death of other animals without even biting them, if you can believe it. Well, you should believe it, I'm telling you. Now, interestingly, these two waterbuck are different colours. One of them is grey, and the other one is a redhead. So we would call that one greyish, I think. And if we were to liken them to our final control, we'd call that one Emma or Kirsten, except it's a male, of course, and we'd call the one on the right Megan. Blonde. It is a male, of course, though. She doesn't think it's very funny. That's Megan, of course. The other two are mercifully absent, and so they will not hear me describing them as male waterbuck. Mary, you say the waterbuck seem quite judgmental. I would agree with you, Mary. I think that they've turned their backsides to us, and they seem to be casting aspersion on us by looking down their noses almost. Yes, I would agree. I think they are judgmental. I think they're snobby, and I think it's uncalled for. I don't know what they think they are or who they think they are, that they should look at us like that. So I'm going to go and have a word with them, possibly through the medium of a revving vehicle. While I do that, Steve is still with his elephant, and they are having a drink.
Yes, they are now drinking, and the big female there has been chasing away the birds with her trunk. I'm not quite sure why or what's going on. She's not very happy with life at the moment. The little baby trying to climb the hill. It's not the tastiest of water. It's very green. She didn't even really splash herself with it. I think they're all going to turn around and go to the cleaner water of Vuyatela. Had a little sniff, a little bit of a taste, and off they go. What a pity. I thought we might get a little bit of bathing, a little bit of splashing. There's a little bit that happened. Sorry about the aerial. The elephants, we position ourselves beautifully, and they've just decided to now go all the way behind us. That is what happens on a live safari, folks. You cannot predict what the animals are about to do, although their behavior often will indicate something just before they do something. But without any seemingly obvious communication, the elephants, one by one, slowly make their way back and out of this area. Nice to see, nice to spend time with them. They're not 100% relaxed with the environment, I'm guessing. Maybe they also just don't like the taste of the water, and they're going to go, as I suggested, for something a little bit fresher. Okay, well, it seems like everybody's getting everybody's names wrong this afternoon, and apparently I'm going to be going all the way up to the Masai Mara with Steve, who I think is actually Scott, who is sitting with a very big herd of wildebeest.
Well, from what sounds like a beautiful and cute scene with Steve and the Ellies, we've come across to quite a dramatic, deathly scene over here, although I guess there's lots of life because there's hundreds of wildebeest, a few of which, as you can see, are heading in the opposite direction to the bulk of them. You'll also notice that this area is burnt black from a fire that hopped over the border from Tanzania into Kenya, and that was about a week ago, and sadly there hasn't been too much rain, if any, since then, hence no green shoots poking out just yet. But with a little bit of luck and assistance from Mother Nature and some rain, this area will turn into a beautiful, beautiful green carpet. And each 5 minutes we keep having to stop because there's just another beautiful, beautiful scene filled with hundreds and thousands of these wildebeest. So, as I said earlier, if any of you have just jumped on board, things are really heating up here. It's much later than the migration usually arrives in town, and interestingly, the wildebeest that we are looking at now are actually heading back towards Tanzania. Oh, there's some zebra as well. But that's not to say that tomorrow they won't turn back. Oh, genre, let's go back to the ones at 9 o'clock. There's some sun poking out onto them. Let's try and get that in on that action. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful. How awesome is this? just one little ray of light has burst through the clouds, and that really does make for an incredible scene. Beautiful. It really would be nice to know, how these guys work out their plans, because I mean, I think long and hard about their movements, and you just can't really make any sense of it. One day they're going in one direction, the next the opposite. Now they're heading into seemingly nothingness. But they've got a plan. Kai, you would like to know if the wildebeest rut like other antelope, and yes, they certainly do. Let me think about roughly when it'll be. It'll probably be in about when they start heading back into Tanzania now, I would guess. The calving's in around, I think, March, April, and about 6 months after that, the mothers will start coming into season, and I'm guessing that is when the rut is. It's certainly not up here whilst they're in Kenya, although if I think back to last year's migration, I think possibly towards the end, just when they start heading back towards Tanzania, I noticed the males start getting a little bit more excited about things. So possibly just after they head back south from here. How awesome is this? I wonder what they're going to have for dinner tonight. I'm hoping they're going to arrive somewhere where there's food, because there is nothing to nibble on here. But one thing that a lot of us will kind of presume, and incorrectly so, is that unlike us, a lot of wild animals, including the herbivores, don't necessarily sleep at night. And I've noticed that with the full nights out that we've been lucky enough to spend here in the Mara, that you come around a corner and next thing you are in this seething shoal of wildebeest stampeding in every which way you could imagine, and they do a lot of moving at night. So who knows how far they'll end up before they get to their next spot. Okay, well, like I said, we've been actually battling to get where we intended to go and look for the sausage tree pride, simply because of these incredible scenes that we keep wanting to share with you. So I hope you're enjoying them. Very good. Alright, well, as we continue our search for the lion, you're going to hop on board with James to give him some help looking for a leopard.
Oh, we've just spotted a bird and it's disappeared. No, it's coming back out, everybody. Can you believe it? A crested francolin making its way to us on the road, now crossing the road. The answer, of course, or the question must be, why did the francolin cross the road? And the answer clearly is to find a seed to eat. Yes, this one, of course, only half crossed the road. It's now approaching so closely that I might get in the way. Am I in the way?
It's charging you.
Is it charging? Oh no. There it is. It is a very confiding crested francolin. Sebastian, would you like to demonstrate what happened this morning when we were trying to shoot our promo? Let me demonstrate, everybody. It was quite amusing. We had to shoot a promo for the TV show on Saturday, and Kalamba was crossing from over there, and so I began my waffle. Good evening, my name is James Henry, and I invite you to join me and the rest of the SafariLive crew for the final something, something, something. And then I said, and then he went back to the animal, and I said, join us. And Kalamba started walking across the front of the car. Join us as we follow the lives of the... And then we had to start again. And I thought it was quite funny. I do have it. Would you like to show it? There's my phone. Here we go. Here we go, everybody. Then you'll have the sound effects. It's quite amusing. How did you send it to me? You put it on that group whose title I'll cover, shall I? Yeah. Are you ready?
sausage tree and a Wiener prize, the North Clan of hyena, and Juma's royal leopards are waiting.
So you can see that didn't work very well. We had to do it again. Alrighty, Steve has managed to find something that escaped from Hosanna a little earlier on.
Yes, we found a group of them. They are brown with horns. We're looking for buffalo with the lions following, and we haven't found them yet, but we thought we'd stop for these nyala. And apparently there are about 7 of them together. I've only counted 5, but Ferg's seen another 2 from his vantage point. And, oh, there's another one. So I've seen 6. So they're slowly moving. They're not far away from the watering hole. We never really find them too far away. And they're enjoying each other's company, albeit they probably don't get too close to each other at any given time. And if they do, there's probably a little bit of argy-bargy amongst them. But none of them are, apart from this guy, none of them seem to be fully mature. You see their horns are still a little bit narrow at the top. Still a little bit of growing to do. And it is a benefit to them all to spend time together, help them to get themselves through the African wilderness in the presence of all sorts of cats, such as leopards, like Hosanna this morning, who tried to catch one of these individuals, and the lions that are constantly prowling around. It is a selfish trait to hang out, because basically you're hoping that they're going to catch your friend and not yourself. That's kind of what's going on. And also, as we've spoken about all the time, more eyes, more ears, more time with your head down to feed, build up the conditions so that when the time is right to compete, you are bigger and stronger than your opponent. Kingfire, yes, they are very beautiful. We actually had a poll last week on what's more beautiful, the Nyala bull or the kudu bull, and the kudu didn't win this time, although they are very delicate and elegant. The Nyala bulls with their long orange socks and a beautiful white mane of hair and chocolate-coloured waistcoat is a beautiful addition to the herbivores of the African continent. And they're looking in pretty good condition with the spring around the corner. Being a mixed feeder, they would be in better condition than your exclusive browsers. And after that rain we had last weekend, I'm sure there's little bits of flush coming through in the vegetation that they are taking advantage of. Here we go. Here comes a younger one to cross. Oh, hang on. I thought you were moving to him. Sorry, Ferg. A younger one to cross the road. A little bit younger than the rest. Good to hang out with his friends. Here we go. There's a little bit of a display happening just on the right here. Let's see if I can get in there. This is the characteristic Nyala behavior off to my right here. He's going to drop it now, though. He's pilo-erected his fur, his hair, to make himself look much bigger. And normally he does that when another individual approaches him, and then they'll do this very delicate dance in a circle around. But if no one takes up the challenge, well, then they stand there looking rather silly, and then they will drop their fur and then basically just go back to feeding. And by taking up the challenge, the other individual will basically display themselves exactly the same, or fail to display and just start feeding or scratching themselves or looking in the opposite direction, basically submitting in the moment. But it is something that they need to practice. You can't learn how to waltz in one evening. You need weeks and months of practice in order to be able to perform the delicate dance of the Nyala. And they generally do it when there are ladies watching, because the purpose of it is to not just impress the ladies, but is to outcompete the males. And the ladies need to see who is the dominant male, so they will often watch these bouts of dancing. And I've only ever seen it twice lead to physical confrontation, where the nyalas had a fight, and it was very, very physical. That is when the individuals believe that the other one is not, or they're equally matched in size, so they're going to have a go. Most often than not, one always backs down because the other one is far bigger in size, or maybe delicate in their dance. And Ginger, most of the horns that we find out here will eventually develop the horn borer moth. It's not actually a worm, it's sort of a caterpillar really that's going to become a moth. And I was discussing it this morning, and I'm not 100% sure if they actually start getting in the horn at an early stage or if they only land on horns that are already dead. I get the feeling that they are there already, but because the animals are constantly washing themselves and hitting their horns against branches, they kind of keep them at bay. But very quickly after an animal dies, those cocoons start to form on the horns themselves, as the horn borer moths, with the ability to digest the keratin inside the horn, start making those cocoons, which we see all the time on the dead horns of animals that we find all over the place. And the tent is a graveyard of them. Okay, well, we're going to continue on towards Torchwood. The wind is favorable for the buffalo to be moving in this direction. The lions as well. Maybe when it gets a bit cooler, we'll follow the wind because it is coming from the north. And let's go and have a look. Okay, well, we're going to head east towards Torchwood to see exactly what we can find. But in the meantime, it seems like James has gone off-road. Let's see what he's going to find.
This is where the tracks of the leopards came. And I've done a little foray up and down this drainage line. And, well, there are a couple of tracks, but we haven't come up with anything just yet. And so we're looking under every shady bush, basically. That's our plan, to see if we can't find something of use. As yet, like I say, not much going on. We'll continue along here for a little while. And see if we don't get very lucky. Oh, I've hit a small stick. Jen, I think that you'll find it's pretty much only leopards. No, I have seen lions doing it as well. Leopards and lions will use the vehicle from time to time to sort of hide their approach to animals, both visually and audioly. Is that a word? Audioly? I don't think it is, but anyway. Let's just look in this hole quickly. What a nice hole. I've definitely seen Tundi doing it. She's used the sound of the engine to mask her approach. And not only that, she also, at least the lions 2 nights ago, one of them used our vehicle to kind of mask her approach towards some impala. I'm not sure that she did it so much to mask her approach as just sort of she's had to avoid the vehicle, and so it looked a little bit like she was trying to mask her approach. Anyway, they do use the vehicle from time to time. And of course the cheetah up in the Mara sometimes use vehicles as termite mounds. They use them as vantage points. Anyway, I'm not sure what lived in there. I think this is actually where Steph found hyenas one morning just before a TV show. He was on foot, and I think they found what he thought was an active hyena den. So hyenas have been here. Probably warthog were the most recent residents, other than the spider you can see that's closed up the web, at least closed up the entrance there. Very nice. Good. On we go. Doing our level best, as always. Sometimes your best is just not quite good enough. And now I have managed to get her stuck, which is quite impressive. Oh dear. This is not good news. Oh no, there we are. We're okay. Hold on. Oh, it's a little bumpy up and down. There we go. We made it. Phew. Lucky. Right, Scott is now looking at the plains with his binoculars. I hope that very soon he spots the Sausage Tree Pride.
Yes, the binoculars are out and I am scanning. No joy just yet. If you listen carefully, you may be able to hear some thunder. There's a lot of spooky weather coming at us from the north, so we may get wet. Did you have a look at it earlier? I was scanning with my binoculars. Let's just show everyone quickly. There. That is the problem. Our camp is somewhere in that rain that you're looking at, and the rain usually comes towards us from there. So that's going to put a little bit of a dampener on things. But for now we're in the clear, and this is the area where the males from the Sausage Tree Pride, Kipuli and Co, have been spending time over the last few weeks. So that's what we're hoping of finding, those big males. Hello Ella, just 12 years old. You would like to know how the wildebeest, the youngsters, manage to catch up to their mothers if they ever lose them, and how do they find them again? Well, they've all got their own different calls that sound the same to us, but to them they can tell the difference. So they can find their mother by calling, so that would be the main way of doing it. They will also probably be able to tell one another apart also just by looking at them, and even if we look at wildebeest now, we definitely wouldn't be able to tell them apart. They all look the same to us, but wildebeest can tell better who's who. So that's the good news, that they can catch up with their moms and reunite with their moms if they do lose them. And you can see there's quite a few youngsters here, all staying quite close to their mother. So they've already done quite a lot of growing already. Oh, sorry, me and Amir only got half of your question. I'm not sure if this funky weather is to fit. What is there or a week or a month or a year? I guess those are the kind of durations you'd be interested in, any one of those. How much distance do they cover? During the migration, it's only about a 400-kilometer round trip, but they do a lot more traveling than that, because it's not an organized, routine kind of set movement with plans. It is just a rough. They go north, they go south, they go east, they go west, but all generally kind of moving in a big circle throughout the year. It'll be very interesting to know how much distance they cover. I think there was 12 that were collared by somebody. I was just told by one of my Kenyan friends that there is somebody that is doing some research, but only 12 of them have been collared. It'll be very interesting to know the information that does come from those collars, because they move huge distances backwards and forwards. That always confuses me, that they seem to know what they are going to achieve by their seemingly random movements. Alrighty then. We shall keep moving, and we're going to be sending you across to Tristan, who has got some visitors at the nest cam.
I do indeed, but it's leaving us, unfortunately. So it's a Nyala bull that came down for a very brief drink and is now moving off. You can see it's being hounded by quite a few oxpeckers, that it's giving it a bit of a hard time. And, well, it's been a tough day for the Nyalas. They've been chased around by Hosanna, and so I wonder if that's the same Nyala that got chased or if it was a different one. But it seems as though that particular one doesn't look too concerned. There comes our little blacksmith lapwing that's always around the pan and milling about. Now, I wonder how close Hosanna actually got. I watched the video. It looked as though he got very, very close. It's difficult to see kind of exactly how far he got. I wonder if he maybe hesitated a little bit just at the size of the Nyala, but it would have been a huge prey item for him to have brought down, and I'm quite impressed that he tried his luck with them rather than the impalas. And it just goes to show how if it's a single animal, it's much more of a invite to be hunted than in a herd animal, because impalas were there most of the day. Anyway, we'll keep watching the nest cam. We'll see what else comes down to have a little drink. In the meantime, let's send you back across to Steve as he searches for his lions.
We've come on to Torchwood from Buffelshoek watering hole, and we have found another herd of buffalo. I'm not sure if these are the same buffalo, because the buffalo we had this morning were further south, but we're going to come check them out, see what they're doing. I don't think I'll be able to tell you if it's the same herd. Maybe the size will be able to tell me the difference, but there's a good chance it's the same herd. Let's have a look. They're just up here on the left. They might be a completely different herd altogether. We will, after here, move back further south and see if it is their tracks. Oh, there seem to be lots of tracks around here. Here they are. It's a big herd. Stand by 1 second. Yeah, that's affirmative. I left him at the same place this morning, just next to the pad. Okay, so here the buffalo are. Let's just quickly put our nose in there. Nice big bull over here on the left. We're going to find ourselves some shade. Oh, he didn't like us coming in. Let me just move back here. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful individuals. This guy over here has got some incredible horns. We were looking at a guy this morning that was very impressive. It was very, very impressive. What was that look that buffalo give you? That look of you owe them money or something. You don't mess with buffalo. They have just got that sort of look, don't they? We don't get to spend, well, since I've been here, I haven't got to spend too much time with them. They come into Djuma and they're gone pretty quickly. And they're right up on the northern side of Torchwood, up on the top of the sort of drainage on the seep line. There's a whole lot of Terminalis sericea around them. Marry their curls on the horns. Yes, the evolution of those is interesting, because if we look at other cattle in the world, they've got very different shapes to their horns, but buffalo are very accurate with those points, and they can very easily pick an animal up off the ground with that horn, throwing it 10-15 feet in the air with absolute ease. I've seen them do that with a lion before, and if you think about a lion can weigh close to 300 pounds, a female lioness that is. And to flick one up in the air like that with absolute ease is fantastic to witness. Not so great for the lion, that is, but the lions were trying to kill one of their counterparts at the time. So it's interesting to see how well they can use their horns, how accurate they are, in fact. Cenac, I don't know. A lot of people say bulls hate the color red. I don't think there's any proof really in that. I don't know. I really don't know. I've never seen a buffalo respond to color, but then we do most of the time try and hedge everybody wearing neutral colored clothing. But I've never seen a buffalo suddenly chase anybody down wearing red. I don't think they see color, to be honest. I think their vision is mainly black and white, but then I could be mistaken. There could be some color receptors in there, but as far as I'm aware, they don't see color. So what the red might be, it might just be I really don't know, Cenac. Have you ever seen them chasing anything down, Ferg, with a red color? Ferg hasn't. Look at the size. Did you see the size of those two bulls' horns? The impressiveness. And this guy on the right is quite impressive with his big boss. But the gentleman on the left, well, he had a spread almost twice that of the other individual. Well, I think we're in luck. They look like they're starting to get up and feed. And they're going to move in the direction of the wind. Let me just move up another touch here, folks, so we can get a few more in frame. Patrick, you want to know if they'll ever charge a vehicle? Well, in the last few weeks, we've seen 2 videos of buffalo charging vehicles, and I was discussing it at length this morning about buffalo that do that. And I don't think wild buffalo, if you give them space, like I'm doing now, you give them the ability to have the freedom to move the way they want to. You don't block their path by parking in the game path that they're clearly trying to move on. Then there shouldn't be a problem. They do invariably fear us, you know, they do invariably fear man. They're not, I've never seen a buffalo, apart from the 2 videos I've seen in the last week or 2, never before that seen buffalo attack cars. But in my opinion, the buffalo that did that, and I could be mistaken, I don't know the origin of the 2 videos I've seen, but I'm guessing that the buffalo are quite accustomed to cars. They're quite accustomed to people. They're probably bred buffalo. They're disease-free buffalo that have become very accustomed to people. They've lost that fear, and they've got no problem coming right up to a vehicle. And when the vehicle happens to be in the way, they just give it a proper smash with their horns, which is what I've seen on 2 occasions now. And I think people learn that about those buffalo, and they almost not play with them, but they know and anticipate that they're going to do that. Clearly from the first video I saw, the individual who was driving the car driven past the herd, the bull came out onto the road behind him, and he knew it was going to charge him. The way he behaved, he knew it was going to come. How you know that from behind a Land Rover is very hard to say, unless you can anticipate that animal. I've never ever feared or worried about buffalo charging my car. I've encountered them hundreds of times on foot as well, and invariably a herd itself moves off if they see you. It's all about wind direction though. The wind is coming towards them, and they're all seemingly slowly getting up, and they're going to move towards the north. Northeastish. Selection of breeding bulls, and then all of the females, the grannies, the dominant females, and the youngsters. Poofy poof, you don't see too many other animals coming in to the herd of buffalo. You don't really see them in amongst them. The buffalo herds are normally quite sort of, you know, quite compacted. They move in a certain fashion. It's kind of just the behavior that they portray. I've never seen other animals inside of herds. I've seen them scattered around them. In the Mara, when I was there, I saw an enormous herd of buffalo, saw some eland and zebra sort of congregating in the same area, but by no means did they come into the middle. The buffalo are quite grumpy chaps, and every now and again they barge each other, and no other animal wants to be a part of that. What's going on with this individual here, Fergie? Can you see his horns? He's got a whole lot of scratching going on there. That's why when I get the idea that there might already be things living inside the horn, because you get buffaloes at a certain age that start really thrashing branches, and they end up staining their horns enormous colours. Oh, he's quite an old guy. Well, he's not in the best of conditions. He's a bit of a limper. You can also see by, well, you can't see it now, but just before we went behind the bush, his sort of hips were standing out there, kind of moving in. They're definitely losing a lot of condition this time of year, the buffalo. Being ruminants, they're trying to make the most out of the vegetation available to them. And to get back to the movements of the buffalo herds, you get a few males that sort of move in the front, but there's sort of the lead females that direct the movement. Lead females and their offspring, they get the best grazing, and a lot of the bulls sort of take up the rear and feed from behind, and they invariably lose condition because they're constantly competing within the herd. Trying to keep their strength up at the same time is a very difficult feat. Omkar, the white spots in the face are really just where fur is missing. They get a little bit older, they're kind of bald in sort of places after a lot of rubbing. You must remember that buffalo get enormous amounts of ticks on their body, and they scratch everything they can when they get the opportunity. They will find branches and things and they will scratch because they get very itchy, and you often find the fur underneath the eyes, especially with age, starts to disappear, and it's just basically dry skin that you see there. Dry skin and a bit of fur that's kind of fallen off. You don't see it in young buffalo. Young buffalo have got very, very good coats. See, look at this individual here, the one behind now, Ferg. You can see he's limping quite a bit. His hips are starting to stand out a bit. You can see with right there above the tail there's a big indent. He's not walking very well. Got a bit of either an injury or is just in very poor condition. That would be the individual that would lag behind if the herd happened to be chased, because it's the density and the sort of cohesion of the herd that is their biggest defense. And if one gets isolated and separated from the herd, well, that will be the one that will be picked off. Albeit the lions would prefer to have easier prey, such as females or calves, but if they see a weaker individual, they will definitely pick that individual off. Okay, well, we're going to scratch around this herd for a little bit, see if there's any signs of these cats that might have or might not have followed them here. In the meantime, let's go over to James and see if he's had any luck.
I've had no luck at all. I don't know why I sang that. I'm sorry. There's a woodpecker over there. I'll try and find it for Sebastian again. Sebastian, the woodpecker is straight over the top of my head. It's quite a nice one too. I think it's a golden-tailed woodpecker. It's on that. Can you see that dead thing with the yellow spike at the top where it's been broken?
Yeah.
It was in there. No, it's to the right of that. You go right of that and down a bit. There. It may have gone now. Wait a second, everybody. I must show you the woodpecker. No, it's gone. How exciting. Anyway, the reason we stuck our noses off-road here is because we heard some rattling testiculars going, which sometimes means there's a predator. At other times it means they're just going, because that's what they like to do. We haven't seen a predator in here. I'm sorry about that. Monique, I reckon the woodland kingfisher will come back on the 14th of November. What do you think, Sebastian?
13th.
13th. Sebastian says the 13th of November. I say the 14th. Based on nothing other than my the sense that my forefinger got on being placed in the way of the wind here. So somewhere around there, Monique, that's going to be my bet. You can all write down the bets now. The person who is right will... Steve says the 18th. The person who is correct will win the Crystal Ball Award. Very famous award, the Crystal Ball Award, given to those who predict correctly the arrival of the woodland kingfisher. It will, of course, be taken away from you immediately should you ever put an S on the end of woodland and call it a woodlands kingfisher. You know how some things just irritate you and you don't really know why? That's one of my pets' hates, and so everyone does it here all the time just to irritate me. Well, yes, Megan, exactly. It's like when people say the word hyena as though it has two H's in it. It doesn't. It's hyena. Why people insist on saying hyena, I don't know. Hyena, it's more difficult to say than hyena. Hyena. No. It's not H-Y-H-E-N-A, hyena. It's a hyena. It's not difficult. Come on now. Now we think Kalamba might be in here somewhere. We pop down onto the riverbed here. My favourite bird call, Jessie, is the call in this particular area of the white-browed scrub robin, but in all it is the Cape robin. And as I've said to you many times before, or some of you before, the Cape robin is my favourite because it was my little touch of the wilderness when I was living in Johannesburg as a guitar teacher, teaching the ungrateful children of the rich. I always like to say that. It's very unfair. Some of them were very nice kids. Alrighty, Scott is also looking for cats. Hopefully he will have a little bit more success than I'm having right now. You're going to see him in exactly 3 seconds.
I sure am, not very successfully, but that could change at any moment in time. Was daydreaming there, to be honest, enjoying the beautiful scenery. We appear to have the whole place to ourselves in the area that we're driving now, and couldn't be better really, other than the fact that it would be nice to have some lions stalking through medium length grass. Either zebra or wildebeest, I'm not too fussy. Oh no, audio issues. I am going to send you off to the technical looping. Goodbye.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, terribly sorry about the technical issues there, folks, but you're back with us on Torchwood. Still, we have moved off from that herd of buffalo, and I've been tracking them back. They most certainly are the same ones from this morning. They came down towards Torchwood water here, and they have spent some time there before moving back up to where you just were with them now. and I'm still trying to scratch around for some tracks of where these lions have potentially gone. I'm pretty sure that they were hunting them this morning or last night. Maybe they've got one that we couldn't find. Gonna have to spend some time tracking in a minute as we go back to where I had those tracks last and see if those animals are just lying up somewhere in the shade. I'm pretty sure they're going to be pretty flat this time of day. Tracks came straight through there. We left them just up in the block here this morning. Just double check there's no lion tracks on top of them. Bobby, I'm not sure. I've never thrown a cat, a lion or a leopard in the air and then seen how they land. But one thing I have seen is I've seen a male leopard take a female leopard out of the tree and kill her by landing on top of her. So she didn't land on her feet. He landed on top of her. I think she tried to. He went up the tree after her cubs and she defended. It's very sad to see. But I don't know, probably. I think leopards have the ability to land on the feet. Lions are a different ball game altogether. I honestly have no idea. If you threw a lion off of a tree, would it land on its feet? But interesting question. I know my brother tried many times with our cat when we were younger to see how it landed, and it always landed perfectly. Always a 10 out of 10. Just looking deliberately in here. We left the buffalo somewhere in this area here, so we're going to have to keep our eyes open for some tracks. Go back to the last sign of those buffalo, because I wasn't able to track them too well then without chasing the herd of buffalo away from people who were trying to view it. It was just a little bit of a tricky situation. But we'll see. Let's go back to the last position. And hopefully we will come right. Okay, well, we're almost back towards that power line road where we had left the last tracks. So we're going to just scoot in there quickly, see what we can see. But in the meantime, we're going to go all the way back up to Scotty D in the Masai Mara. He's driving around.
Yes, still driving about, marveling at the incredible clouds and sunlight and rain. It's all kind of happening here. Don't know actually where to suggest Jean-Ro to point the camera, but have a look at that. Is that not something else? So, some sunshine, lots of rain on the left. Thankfully for now, we have been lucky. Just a tiny bit of drizzle, and it looks like the rain that was at camp earlier has moved off. So we have been lucky. But to be honest, we need as much rain as we can get here in the Mara. There hasn't been nearly as much rain as there ordinarily would be at this time of the year, so things are drying out quite desperately. I mean, it's not a major issue. It would just be quite nice to have a nice green carpets of vegetation and a little bit less dust. It's very dusty. P 15. Too many trees in the Mara? And it's a good question, JP. I was actually just doing some research. Well, Jean-Ro was doing some research, to be honest, who's working the camera behind me, and he shared what he learned with me. And the majority of these kind of trees that we see around here are called Balanites trees. It's mainly one species that we see on the floor, kind of the Mara basin. And all of these trees grew during a period when situations were favorable. And that would have been a lot of things, not just sunshine and rainfall, but more importantly, the amounts of big herbivores like elephants moving through the area, as well as fires. Because any small trees, when these trees are small, a fire can kill them, elephants can pull them out the ground, but once they're big like they are now, they'll survive. But as far as we can tell, it seems just like one generation of these Balanites trees, and we're not too sure what will happen when they die or when the next generation or era of them may pop up. But yeah, I mean, soil plays a big thing, JP, the type of soil. The soil here is called black cotton soil, so it basically acts like a sponge, and when it's wet it becomes very soft and you can get stuck in it very easily, and then when it dries out it cracks and becomes very, very hard, and that makes it difficult for a lot of plants to grow because their roots kind of get caught up when or kind of dried up when the area is not wet. I'm not doing a very good job explaining this, but soil has got a big role to play. Ah, very good. James has finally found what he was looking for. Off you go.
Well, we haven't really found what we were looking for, so we have found Hosanna, which wasn't particularly difficult given the fact that there were two 2.5-ton land cruisers following him, so that wasn't too difficult. But he's moved away from where he failed with his Nyala, and seemed to be showing some sort of interest when he climbed up onto the top of this mound. But it would not surprise me if the interest he was showing was perhaps in the what am I trying to say here? Was perhaps in the presence of his dear niece Tlalamba. Niece, also half-sister, because they share a father, of course. Sorry, Kai, somebody started waffling a massive amount of nonsense on the Game Drive radio as you asked that question. I missed it. Oh, Kai with a K, it depends. They can separate as young as 8 months old, and they can separate as old as 2 years. You'll find probably the average is between 12 and 18 months when you'd expect them to go independent. Males take slightly longer than females. That is not surprising. It is just like it is with our own species. Females tend to be, they mature much faster. So in theory, if Tundi was to disappear, leaving 10-month-old Tlalamba to fend for herself, that would be okay. Tlalamba would probably be all right. This particular leopard, Kai, Hosanna, the male leopard, he had to go independent when he was just over a year old because his mother disappeared. And he's done just fine. He did kill his first adult male impala when he was about a year old. We didn't see it, but word on the street was that he killed a fully grown adult male impala when he was about a year old. Isn't that lovely? Now we're quite far from him. We're the other side of a riverbed, but because this lens is long, I'm not going to try and get across there unless he starts to move, because I don't think he's going to be up there for very long. I think he's probably going to start moving fairly soon down towards the south. And it's really quite a nice view, looking all the way across here. It's a different view from the one we normally have of him. We're normally so very close to him. And it almost feels... It feels a little bit more, I think, considerate to be this distance from him. It's not always possible if we want to see him. And, of course, he sometimes seems to enjoy our company a bit closer by. But right now it just feels a bit more considerate to be a little bit further away, especially if he's trying to hunt. I'm not sure he is trying to hunt, but he could be. I think if he does start to move, though, we will probably have to try and get a bit closer to him. Because unfortunately, walking through these trees, it's going to be difficult to find him. Poofy Poof, I'm very glad that you're still watching the show. It's wonderful to hear from Poofy Poof. In fact, I've forgotten entirely what you asked. I always forget what you ask first time round because your name is just so astounding. Oh, do they ever hunt in multiple numbers, i.e. in prides, if you like. No, they don't really. And I suppose it could happen that a female leapt onto the back of something large, and if she happened to be mating with a male, maybe he'd help her kill it, mainly for selfish reasons. And I think that happened once when Tingana was mating with Karula, possibly in order to conceive a young Hosana that we're looking at there. They were both found during a mating session feeding on a baby buffalo. Now, that's very big for a leopard to try and take down, and I suspect quite strongly that they both took down the buffalo. They won't by default, though, hunt with each other, and I suspect it was probably just a little bit of a lucky situation where they both happened to be there. A weakened buffalo came past, and they both probably leapt on it. So that's what's happening here. He's now having a little wash. He's a very clean cat. Clean cats must be clean. Motta, I think you'll probably find that a wild leopard could live about, I'm going to say on average 5 years less than a leopard in captivity. I think the oldest leopard in captivity lived to about 22 years old, if I remember reading that correctly. The oldest leopard in this area seems to have been about 18 when she died. I have heard reports, unconfirmed reports, of a 19-year-old, but I don't know. 19 years ago sounds like a long time, doesn't it? Oh, here we go. All right, people, it's going to get a little bit of... Oh, no, it's not. He's just turning around. Fantastic. Oh, wonderful. We get a different view. I must just tell you that we don't have the Mara anymore. I think they've got a couple of storm issues there. So it's just me at the moment because Steve is off the vehicle tracking lions. And so do send through your questions and comments using the hashtag SafariLive or the chat stream on YouTube, or I shall run out of things to say to you and then start waffling about nothing at all. While I wait for you to do that, let's listen to the sounds of the bush for 20 seconds. 1. Cal 6, as we come to the end of our silent time together, 20 seconds it was, you're wondering if lions will ever climb trees to steal from leopards. Yes, absolutely they will. They have. I've seen it happen. I've seen male lions go up trees and try and steal from leopards and then try and steal from each other in the trees. Going up for them is no problem at all. Coming down is really quite amusing to watch. They don't like heights, and their ability to descend from the heights of trees is comical at best. The only thing I heard during our silent time together, everybody, was Rexon Ntemane's voice. He is guiding quite close by, and also that of an alarm calling Chinspot Batiste, which was going somewhere near Hosana's head. Otherwise, things remained very silent, and I've yet to see my first Wahlberg's eagly. John, my favourite thing about Hosana is probably his taste in music. He's got a fantastic taste in music for a young leopard. He and I share a great love of Beethoven's 5 piano concertos. We both think the Emperor, the 5th one, I think it is the best one. And so, you know, we have that in common. I don't share his love of fine food. I have a fairly bland palate, but we also share a fine love of malt whiskey. And so I think the things that I enjoy about him the most are when we sit and we listen to a performance of Beethoven's 5th piano concerto while sipping on a peaty Islay malt. That's probably the thing that I like most about him. That's all obviously not true. I don't think he knows who Beethoven is, in case any of you were wondering. He listens to much more modern music. No, he doesn't. He doesn't listen to music at all. He's a leopard. My favourite thing about him is his confiding nature, is the fact that he seems to like us, he seems to seek out our company, and he seems to revel in being around not only us, but more and more his sister niece, and of course his father. And that is the most endearing thing about him, is the fact that he does so much enjoy, I think, being around other leopards. I'm beginning to think, and Tristan I think is agreeing with me at the moment, although I'm not sure we've actually discussed it, that leopards probably spend more time with each other than we think they do. Certainly the amazing interaction of Tlalamba, Tingana and Thandi the other morning, I don't know if you happened to see that, it was just too magical for words. But they were so familiar with each other. It wasn't like they just kind of come across each other. And we've now seen that 3 times, I think. This one was the closest we've seen Tlalamba approach her father. She certainly made contact with him a few times. And he showed irritation, but definitely no aggression. And, you know, it got us wondering, does this only happen here? Is this something that really only happens here? Or does it happen in various places? And does it always happen? And quite interestingly, there was, on the same day, there was a report from Londolozi that when Tamba, who of course is, it's difficult to say all the relations here, he is Hosana's nephew, brother, I think they share the same father, if I'm not mistaken, and he's, you know, was Thandi's cub before Tlalamba. Tamba met up with the Anderson male and did that same chuffing thing, that to the Anderson male. And a lot of people then interpreted that as the two of them knowing each other. All right, he's up. He may have spotted something. And I'm not sure if that was true. I don't know if they knew each other. I think it was either that or he was just being submissive. So it is a kind of submissive sound that they make. Yes, he spotted something, everybody. Unfortunately, it's the other side of the termite mound. There is a car going past him. He's going to disappear from view. We're going to have to move. He's not limping, is he? Is he limping? Slight limp. Right, everyone. Let's keep going. I am afraid you're stuck with me. C'est la vie, as they say. At least you don't have to look at my face the whole time. You can look at the back of my head, which is infinitely more attractive. Sebastian, that's where you say, no, it's not. No comment, eh? No comment. Is that what you said? I think we might be able to get across here. Also don't need to brake the car just before television. No, we can't get across here. We'll be stuck for days. There he goes. You see him there? Just through those bushes. Okay, we're going to try and get a better view of Hosana. I believe that the Vov has managed to make it back to his car. I think he's in one piece. Did he find the lions?
I didn't find the lions, James, but I found up and down hunting in this block. And unfortunately I turned around to come back, just a bit time constrained, but I'm going to drive around further, see if we can find them. I think they might have killed a buffalo somewhere in there. Had their tracks. Every time I wanted to turn around I find a fresh, well, not from now, but from this morning, lion track, which pushed me further and further down to the south of the block. This side this morning we had zebra and waterbuck all looking very, very relaxed, but the buffalo had been running up and down, so I've got a strong feeling we might find something down on that side. So apologies, James, for being off for so long, but we might find something yet as we keep going. The lions would be looking for some weakness in that herd of buffalo that they would have seen, and obviously the individual we saw probably wasn't selected for. It's a little bit of a bumpy power line road. I don't think it's an official road, that's why it's a little bit up and down. I do apologize for the bumps. But it's interesting, as you go through the block there, you can actually see places where the lions have been on a termite mound and the buffalo have circled them and then they've gone off again. Sorry, Megs, can you say that again, please? Steffi, no, I've never seen a lion and leopard fight. I think it would be pretty one-sided. Lions, even the lioness, are far bigger than male leopards. So out in this industry, it's all about bulk and intimidation, and if a male leopard saw a female lioness, he would just back away. He's got no chance against her whatsoever. Even a female lioness versus a male lion, there's just really nothing in it for them. It's all about size. Heavyweight, the male lion. The male leopard is definitely the heavyweights of the leopard world, but when they upper level into lion country, there's no chance whatsoever. I mean, a male lion can get up to 500 pounds, and the biggest male leopard maybe 180, 200, maybe 180. So if you could just work out that math, that's enormous. Whereas a female lion can get up to about 300 pounds, which is quite a big individual. If they're on their own, that is. They're often not on their own, they're often in a group. But if a lion sees a leopard, it will have a go. It will try and catch it to kill it. It's all about competition out in the African wilderness. Now, I did drive this section earlier this morning. I didn't hear anything, we didn't see anything, but my feelings are whatever's going on is happening inside. It's a relatively large block. And the last tracks I saw of those buffalo were up and down inside here, so maybe we'll be a little bit more lucky with the wind. It'll blow some sounds towards us. Or maybe the wind will cause the lions, who maybe if they didn't catch anything, cause them to get up and start moving. Because I know for a fact I drove this morning, so if there were tracks on top of my tire tracks, I would know the freshness. But they didn't look very hungry yesterday. Craig and James were with them. What Ferg and I saw a few weeks ago, we found the pride with a buffalo herd, and some of the animals were on top of the termite mound, some of the lions, and they were surrounded by buffalo, but none of the adults were really that interested. So it was more of a game for the youngsters. They weren't hungry, but the youngsters just couldn't help themselves. And then after a very short period, actually, it didn't take very long, did it, Ferg? They turned off and walked in the opposite direction, the lions, and then the buffalo moved off and settled down. But the tracking I've just seen inside here indicates that there was a little bit more of an interaction, and buffalo were running in all different directions. You can see that by sort of scuff marks in the ground. If you've ever seen a horse that's gone running, it leaves this really big divot in the ground, not just the track from where it walks, but a big divot from where the ground actually gets pushed out from behind. And there was quite a lot of that, and I'd follow that for a bit, and then I'd find a beautiful lion track, and then I'd also find sort of the scuff marks of a lion track where they've clearly been running. So maybe we'll be lucky. I do know that Rexon and Tex are driving a group, and they're looking to come through to Torchwood this afternoon. So we're going to give this another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll move back over to Djuma to follow up, or help James follow up on the other leopards that are giving us the slip. In the meantime, let's go over to James. I think he's managed to relocate on the little chief. Let's go see what he's up to.
He's just disappearing now. Oh, he spotted something. What's he got? What's he seen? I bet it's Spiker the Diker. No, now he's a bit more relaxed. I'm just going to get behind him, everybody. That means we'll be able to see if he can see anything and we won't interfere at all. He's walking exactly the same line that Thandi and Tlalamba walked this morning, down through this, it can only be described as hellish terrain for driving. There he is, sitting like a Pooh Bear. Listening, smelling. Yes, that's why I put his ears back, because I'm talking. He's hearing all sorts of things in here. Nathaniel, the classic question of how long can an animal go without eating is answered entirely and not with any facetiousness by saying it depends entirely what it ate the last time it ate. So if he ate a duiker on his own for 2 days, he could easily go a week without eating. He'd be pretty hungry at the end of the week, but he could do it. So from absolutely jam-packed full, they could easily go a week without eating. You'd probably try not to go more than 2 or 3 days. But you must remember also that they kill a lot of little things that we don't see. They'll eat lizards, they'll whack a tortoise if they can find one, with a soft enough shell, of course. They will kill birds, small carnivores like mongoose, squirrels, scrub hares, probably by the dozen. And so, although we haven't seen him on a proper kill for some time, he certainly hasn't looked thin, and he doesn't look thin now, and he's spotted something. What have you seen, Hosanna? What could it be? I would be fascinated to see this leopard meet up with Tlalamba without Thandi around. He's definitely spotted something. See how the tail is up? Sherlock, yes, that tail is definitely used to communicate with other leopards. It's also used to communicate to alarming birds as a flag of truce, that they're not in any danger. So if, for example, a bird was to come and fly above him and start alarm calling, he'd lift that tail up and flick it from side to side. He's definitely seen something in there. I just don't know how on earth we're going to follow him. You've still got a decent view there. Hey? Let's just stay here for now. Pleasure to spend time with an animal like this. It really is. I think Tristan was saying that the other day. I'm not sure he's seen something. I'm beginning to think he heard something and he doesn't quite know what it is, and that's why he's looking like this. Okay, I'm going to move, Seb. Let's just go around here. Lisa, yeah, I guess he has become quite a good hunter. I'm not sure he was ever a particularly bad one. Otherwise he wouldn't have survived as long as he has. There he is. Have you got him there? I can't go any closer than this here. Oh, that's a lot of tree. Yeah. Might be able to get... I really don't think we're going to get a better view, I'm afraid, until he moves. That's rather irritating. Yeah, we'll go slightly forward. Yeah, that's the best we can do for now. I don't think he's going to be there for long. I think he'll move fairly smartly. You can see his tracks here from this morning. Hello, fellow. Lisa says she thinks you're a good hunter, so take some confidence from that. Lisa, he does miss a great deal, but I think that's not because he's incompetent. I think it's because leopards do miss a great deal. certainly of the stuff that we've watched, which of course must bring, or the question must be asked, is it us that's causing him to miss? I think the answer is no. I don't think we are. I think they do miss a lot. There we go, lovely colours of the late winter / early spring. I really enjoy that golden brown and copper. Right, we have the Mara back. This is due in no small measure to the efforts of the amazing technical team that we have. Let's go across to him now and find out how stormy it really is.
Welcome back on board, everyone. I am steadily heading towards, I'm not too sure what, but I'm hoping there's something up ahead. It's quite cold, so I'm in this kind of predicament at the moment as to whether or not to stop and put a jersey on. But I'm kind of like, let me rather stop and put a jersey on once we found something. So that's what I'm kind of going through at the moment. That's where my head's at. It has rained here. You can see the roads a little bit wet. So earlier on drive we kind of looked out in this direction and saw some rain here, but thankfully it's cleared. So we've been lucky, we've dodged the rain, but in doing so it appears we've also dodged the lions that we were looking for. Yesterday the Owino Pride was somewhere directly off to our left at the base of the Olololo escarpments, somewhere over there. However, we don't really have enough time to go and look for them now, so what I'm hoping to do is scratch around kind of in an area where we might find the Olololo Pride, a large pride of lions. Christy, you'd like to know if we get bot flies here? Possibly, but not that I know of. Not that I have heard of. The flies have thankfully subsided. There used to be a lot during the rainy season. About 3 months ago, 4 months ago, when I got back into town, they were a nightmare. But they have subsided along with the rains. So far today we've covered about 50 miles on the button. So we've been doing quite a lot of mileage. It's a wonderful place to just be able to cruise around. The scenery is quite diverse here, even though it's all kind of open. Oh, we nearly lost control there, everyone. Put your seatbelts on. Woo-hoo-hoo. Oh, this looks like a fun bunch. Hello! Oh, interestingly, that car had Londolozi written across the top of it. I wonder where it's from. For those of you who don't know what Londolozi is, it's another one of the many wonderful camps in the Sabi Sands, not too far away from Djuma. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to keep on fighting through the not putting the jersey on until I find an animal situation and send you back to James, who is still with Hosanna.
Oh, we've got such a lovely view of him now. Eye-level leopard. Isn't that gorgeous? And he's just lying there. We've managed to drive around into the riverbed and up the other side. And now we are thoroughly enjoying his presence again. Still don't know what he was looking at, if it was anything. But you can see he's very much alert and awake. Minamu, I've become increasingly convinced that leopards hunt largely using vision and not smell. I think they do use their sense of smell, but I don't think it's nearly as important to them as their vision. Isn't he a special cat? It's almost like he's trying to be regal, but he's just a little bit too teenager at the moment to be regal, I feel. He's certainly magnificent, but I'm not sure that we could call him regal just yet. Regal he is certainly going to be. Hosanna, are you posing? I think you're posing right now. Yes, what a good boy. One is tempted to talk to him like one might talk to one's pet. One mustn't do that. One must accept that he is a wild animal, as much as he tries to pretend not to be. There is a deeply irritating fly on my face. I'll just tell you, if you do hear some slapping sounds, it's me trying to kill the fly. I've always thought it must be so uncomfortable to lie like that, with your spine twisted to one side as he is lying now. But the cats seem to quite enjoy it. He's now dropping off. Hosanna, please don't drop off. Please go and hunt something. Oh, shame. You've had a busy day, have you? Yes, you just nodded there. I saw you. You couldn't paint that. Isn't it wonderful?
Such a poser.
He is such a poser. Good fellow. So I've got no idea what he saw through here. It may have been a boyd. It may have been a scrub hare. It may have been a lizard. I don't know. Oh gosh, here we go, everybody. I just need to gird my loins every time we do this, because I've got to tell you, the physical trauma of driving through this area is not to be sniffed at. What a lovely picture of concentration and yet relaxation. First, I'd be very interested to see if Tamba and Hosanna were a similar size. Now, I think Tamba would still be a little bit smaller. He's just made it to 2 years now. He won't be much smaller, but I think he's probably a little bit smaller. As far as I'm aware, they have the same father. We think they have the same father. And they will take their size pretty much from him and from their mothers, which were very similar sizes. Kurila was very similar size to her daughter Tundi. And so I think you'll find that they will grow up to be roughly the same size. Tamba never struck me as quite as stocky as Hosanna. Hosanna is a stocky fellow. He's now had enough of being on camera. He says, "You can look at me hind end now. My beautiful ears, my neck." He's definitely got shorter whiskers than Tamba, that's for sure. Tamba had the most astonishingly long whiskers and longer ears. Now he's just listening carefully, smelling. He is looking as well. All right, we're not going to move from here. We're going to stay here with him while he rolls about a bit. Steve is currently doing what's known as driving about.
Well, yes, here is something that's more on the sort of menu for an animal like Hosanna, a female Nyala. The males, I think he might have a go, but they're just so much bigger than the females in size and weight. We did have Tamba a few months ago with that female kudu. We still don't know exactly what happened. All we know is we found him with a pregnant female, and he actually managed to, as sad as it might sound, take the fetus out. He lost most of the kudu to some marauding hyena, and he was able to at least secure that up the tree. We haven't seen him since then. I haven't seen him since then. It was back in March, I think. Tristan's been keeping good tabs on him. Apparently he's doing quite well. And this beautiful Nyala is enjoying a little bit of a rumination. You see the ears are constantly moving. That sort of sideways movements of the jaw to maximize the breakup of those leaf and grass heap materials. At the same time coating them, there we go, swallowed it down, coating them in lots of saliva up into the mouth again. And the saliva is actually loaded with microorganisms which are also full of protein. So what happens is that they cover the food in microorganisms, which is the saliva, which assist in the breakdown. And the smaller the plant particles are, the better the digestion. And in the first stomach, the rumen, all of that gets digested. And that includes, or maybe I think it might be the second stomach that it gets ingested or digested and retaken into the body. And even the microorganisms themselves, which are just a protein base, are re-ingested again and essentially recycled. So it's one of the reasons why ruminant animals have to drink so much, because they need to produce so much saliva for the breakdown of the food. Your hindgut fermenters not having the same sort of design of stomach. Most of it happens in fermentation in the hindgut, in something quite equivalent, I would say, to our appendix. That's where it all takes place. And lots of gas, the flatulators of the bush, you would call them. Hello, Bobby. The white dots and the white stripes essentially just break up the color of the animal. When we look around at the vegetation, there's no uniformity to the vegetation. Everything's got lines and spots and different shades of color. And so essentially that's what the Nyala uses it for, is for camouflage. We can see color, so we can basically make her out. But if she stands dead still, which is what she's doing, just her ears moving, she's quite invisible to the eyes of a predator. And sometimes even to us, if we're not looking carefully enough. What about breaking up that disruptive camouflage, is called? Well, the ruminants are all over the place today. Sounds like we're going to be blessed with the appearance of Jamie Patterson up in the Masai Mara, who has got a ruminating animal of her own.
All over the place, and a very good afternoon and welcome to my portion of the Sunset Safari. Better late than never. My name is Jamie, and this evening VM is on camera with me, and the reason that we're so late is because we got all the way down the hill ready for the start of the Sunset Safari and broke down. We're all good now, sort of. So we've come down the hill and joined you for the last third of the Sunset Safari with a herd of buffalo overlooking another herd of buffalo, essentially, across a massive forest and river system. There we go. It's one of my favorite areas. I wish we could go and walk in those forests. And full of buffalo and hippo, of course. So this is right down below our camp, and we get to know these buffalo herds quite regularly because they like these areas. Now, Scott's mentioned already to you that he's searching for stormy thunder. There is thunder brewing off in the distance. I think we're okay though. Scott's mentioned that he's looking for the Olololo Pride. They're actually on the other side of this river system. So around about, there we go. So they're around here. And it would be really, really lovely to catch up with them. I think if Scott is approaching from that side, I'll wander along down here. Oh, Jesse, it's a bit difficult to really describe the social hierarchy of a buffalo herd. They don't really have a hierarchy necessarily. So you get in a breeding herd like this, you get obviously females, calves, and then a lot of big males like the one that was looking at us earlier. And they don't, the males are bigger, so they do push each other around, but there's no real leadership position that any of them take. So when females come into estrus, then they fight over her, sometimes quite seriously, which is why they are built like battering rams. But interestingly, it seems as though from research, it's the females that lead the herd and make decisions. And if you watch often with interactions with lions, it's usually the females that are the ones that initiate chasing predators away or running away. That decision usually comes from them. So there's no set social structure. It's not like a hyena or even a lion pride. There's no real set... Oh, look, elephants. How lovely. There's no real social structure, whereas something like an elephant herd is a complete contrast because, of course, it's made up of females, all related to each other, and their offspring. They're also going up to our camp. We're going to have all the visitors tonight. They like to wander in, away from the migration and up to the top. I'm going to see if I can get us a slightly better view of this buffalo herd. Oh goodness. So I said we broke down, and we did. And we're not 100% back up and running. We're okay. But poor... This is actually Scott's car. Poor Paka is P-A-K-A, by the way. It means cat in Swahili. Is not doing so well. And her brakes don't really work. You have to fight the steering wheel. Hello, Flows. Here come the rest of the herd on their way, possibly for a drink. All washed sparkly new and clean after a massive downpour. Here we go. There's no real set breeding season for these buffalo either, so you'll see there's lots of calves of different ages. Oh, we've got a Fleming Grimace. Testing the smell of another buffalo, most likely. So what she's doing there is lifting up her top lip to open up her organ of Jacobson, or as it's officially termed in mammals. Oh, where are we going? We're running. Now we're running. As it's officially termed in mammals, a vomeral nasal organ. So it's basically a way of tasting the smell, and that movement opens up the pathways. You'll notice that this area doesn't look 100% natural. That's because it's what we would term in South Africa a borrow pit. In Kenya, it's called a murrum pit. And it's basically where the sand and the dirt for the roads comes from. There you go, little one. Jumping over the puddles. Shame. They can't go running away from the rain. No, oh, Melanie, I completely predicted your question. Accidentally, Melanie wants to know if the herds will move to shelter if it rains. No, not really. They basically, there's not much they can do. Sometimes if they're close to trees, they might go and stand under them. But essentially, all that they can do is sit it out. There's no nice shelters for them, really, and that downpour was so hard that even sitting under the trees, they wouldn't really have got much shelter. So no, most animals will sit out in the rain, lions will sit out in the rain. Even cheetah, when we've sat with Malika and her two boys in the past, they don't really, they'll go into the crotons if they can, which is a sort of a leafy, bushy type plant. But otherwise, they just have to bear it. You have to wonder how they experience it. They do look miserable, especially cats. Hyenas love it. Hyenas are in their element when it rains. They have the best time. They go racing along, bound about in the puddles, hunt. It's their favourite sort of weather. And of course, it's good hunting for all predators. It's nice. We don't have to go too far from camp. Okay. Now, of course, we have massive numbers of wildebeests in theory about to arrive in this part of the triangle, but apparently they've gone across to the Djuma Pan. That didn't make sense.
Indeed, except that they are a different species altogether, Jamie, which is quite nice. This is the form of migration for this particular herd, is that they just migrate from quarantine down to the perilous waters that is the Pan. And, well, I think the Mara River is undoubtedly far more perilous than what this particular Pan is. There's not too much that goes on here other than Hosanna Cat, who has left the building for the afternoon, and so it's a fairly free-fall drink for the wildebeest that will line up one by one, and hopefully they'll start coming. Oh, there's a very playful one that's running about there. I wonder if that's maybe Footloose that potentially is in that area. Now, sorry, Megs, you broke up when you said the name. I didn't get you very clearly there, if you can repeat. So, sorry, Megs, you're breaking up very badly with the name. Poofy Poof. No crocodiles in this water whatsoever. The Pan is too small. It's really not big enough at all. It dries out quite often. It's only when it's pumped does there actually water in there, and it just wouldn't really house a crocodile big enough. And so you'd find that if a crocodile were in here, it would be seen too often, and the animals wouldn't then come and drink. It's a really beautiful scene, though, isn't it, with the dust and the late setting sun and all the wildies coming down to drink. Hopefully the ones that have come down now are going to drink closer towards the camera. It's always nice when they shove their faces up in front of it. But crocodiles here would just really not survive very well. They would be seen very easily, and so it's not the kind of right place for them. I wouldn't be surprised if you get one that might transition through here, a small little crocodile. If it was maybe looking for a new place of water, it might go in here. But one of the big ones like we see in the Mara River or Chitwa Dam would really not do very well. In fact, they would be about half the length of that Pan, and so it would be very difficult for them to actually kind of survive in there and find food. And just remember that crocodiles, while they do catch a lot of different animals, a lot of their diet is actually things like fish, and in this Pan there's no fish, and so they would really struggle to actually sustain their diet through a long period of time. They don't have the same ability to catch massive amounts of wildebeest like in the crocs in the Mara River. Superbite, yes, I mean a leopard could kill a wildebeest for sure. It's possible. There's been many cases. In fact, Tingana has killed a few wildebeest in his time and taken them up into the tree. It would be very difficult, though, to bring down one of these big wildebeest. You're looking at the smaller ones. So if you see the ones that have got quite straight little horns, they're actually standing behind the one that's drinking closest to us at the moment. But there are one or two that have got these kind of small little horns that point up. There it goes. You see that smaller one that's kind of going to the right of the sun now and is going down towards the edge of the water. Now, that would be a fair size for a leopard, but it's a difficult animal to bring down. This whole herd will try and chase that leopard off, and it would be very tough to be able to kill them. When they're small babies, leopards do take them quite often, but when they get a little bit bigger and they're fully grown adults, then no. And the thing is, the leopards here don't come across that many wildebeest. They tend to only kind of, get them every now and then, and so they prefer to hunt things like impala more than anything else, in duiker and steenbok, the smaller antelopes. If they did kill a big wildebeest like this, which is possible, the chances are that they're going to lose it very quickly, because hyenas are going to come in and steal it long before they'll ever get a chance to be able to actually feed off the whole thing and get it up into a tree. It would be just too heavy for any leopard really to take up. It would be very, very difficult. Anyway, we can link to a different view of these, a bit more of an aerial kind of shot. So apparently our dam cam, the audio didn't carry on, but there's actually a wildebeest that's busy rolling around. I can see it in the background there of the dam cam itself, so it would have been nice to actually have seen the wildebeest roll a little bit closer, but it's just kind of gotten behind the dam a little bit. But you can see the wildebeest are very relaxed now. They're all kind of sitting and having a bit of a feed, and no one really looks as though they are too phased by anything. Everybody looks as though they're quite relaxed and taking it very easy. I suppose after an afternoon drink, a little bit of a graze. And out in this particular section, it would be very difficult for any of the predators to really get too close to them. So, I mean, lions could try, but they're much bigger than what Hosanna is, and sneaking up on a herd of wildebeest is not easy. Wildebeest are quite wary animals, and particularly in this area, they look around quite a bit and check and see and make sure that they are not being spotted by something and hunted by something. So you'll find that they hang around these open areas and clearings much more in order to try and just kind of stay safe, really, because the thickets here are just too perilous for them to actually go to. Very, very pretty, though, isn't it? It's a beautiful kind of view from the pan itself. Anyway, we're going to carry on monitoring, see what else comes down for the evening. While we do that, though, let's send you back across to Steve, who I think is still trying to find his pesky lions that have given him the runaround.
Well, we tried more. We weren't able to track them any further because me being off the vehicle for too long will just eat into time. So we are back on the car and we had to leave the area. We have a sort of a rotation with other vehicles from Djuma to go in, and I had my allotted time, and both Rex and Texan are now on Torchwood doing their thing. They followed up on the buffalo we had earlier, and no one has found the lions. So who knows? It's one of those mysteries. One of those mysteries we'll have to leave to the afternoon, and we are slowly made our way back onto Djuma, and we'll head back in towards the area of maybe, watch out there, we got a branch, back into the area along the Omawati, and who knows what we might find along the way. It is a very productive road. Check the watering holes, slowly make our way back towards camp and see if we can bump into maybe Tundi and Kalamba along the way. Who knows? See where James is at the time and see which leopard is available to be found. But in the meantime, Mr. Scotty Dyson has found one of those dirty birds that often associate with lions.
Thanks, Steve. Now, if any of you wondered why vultures have long necks, this is why. Take a look at this. Look at how far. Look at how far its head is reaching up into that carcass. They obviously don't have the power to tear this thick hide open, so all they can do is just dig their head in as deep as possible. How incredible is that? Very, very cool. Now, I don't have any clue as to why or how this zebra died, but there don't appear to be any large carnivores around. When we actually headed out on drive at about kind of 2 p.m. today, we came past this scene, and 2 jackals did kind of arrive as we carried on, and I'm guessing they've had their full and probably headed back to their den. And it'll be interesting to see what other predators come down into this area later this evening. I'm guessing there's going to be some hyenas on the scene. I'm hoping sooner rather than later. It'd be great to see some hyenas tucking into this. But for now, it's just the vultures that have been having a great time, having no other major competition, and a righteous feast. There are lots of vultures dotted around all the trees around us. I mean, as Jean-Ray kind of takes you on a bit of a tour, I'm going to do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not counting the ones that you can see. I'm just letting Jean-Ray show you the ones that are visible. I'm tweaking around. Yeah, there's about 20 that I can see. So, I mean, who knows? Possibly even 40 of them have had a good time feasting here. Wonderful stuff. Now, there was a lot of rain in this area, as I'm sure Jamie let you know. We've had not much, just a little bit of drizzle in the areas that we were in, but I've noticed there's been a lot of moisture that has fallen here, which is great news because we need as much moisture as possible because it's dried out quite a lot. We've got somebody else joining us now. It'll be interesting to see what the vultures do. They're quite skittish animals. They can be surprisingly nervous of vehicles. Oh, Jean-Ray spotted one flying off. Pisces, Bobby, you've just said that vultures are such interesting creatures. They certainly are. They're very, very cool animals. And I think as technology improves and allows us to be able to kind of better document their lives without interfering, basically by being able to put a radio transmitter on them without it being too big or bulky. And imagine being able to keep track of a lot of the vultures and having like 50 or 100 or 1,000 of them, all with these little transmitters, and you get an idea of how far they fly, where they find their food, how many of them follow the migration. And I think that is inevitably going to happen. So we're going to get, oh, here comes a vulture down the road. Let's see what happens. How cool is this? They are such cool animals. That looks like a Ripple's griffin vulture, pale eye. Very cool. Here it comes. Sanjay, you would like to know, do vultures eat the bones? Not unless they're tiny, Sanjay. It's mainly the flesh that they're after. Were you late to the party? So you can see they've already kind of picked open. Ooh, this one would have been interesting to see how far that one's head could have gone down the leg of the zebra. Very, very cool birds. Playing a vital role out here, especially in times of plenty like this, when there are a surplus of carcasses that the usual scavenging hyenas and jackals can't even keep on top of. And the fact that these vultures are so highly mobile and can travel so many hundreds of miles without using up too much energy, they can follow the migration possibly more effectively than any other carnivore. It would actually be really interesting to know the amount of meat consumed by vultures in the migration relative to the other predators, and I'm sure because the fact that they can follow them throughout the year, they would have quite a high percentage. I mean, I guess there's always lions wherever the migration goes, so that kind of actually blows my theory a little bit out the water, but maybe you get the point. You get where I'm going with this. They must consume huge amounts. Very, very good. Okay, well, as I was saying, the rain has fallen here and Jamie is busy dealing with a slippery, muddy road. Hi!
Doesn't sound very exciting, does it? I'm trying to get to the olololos so that you can see them for the first time in a while, and I can't. I actively can't get over this hill. That's all those sort of skid marks there. That's me sliding sideways. I'll give you a brief demonstration without getting stuck, hopefully, of what happens. We go slowly, 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 slowly. Then we try and go up the hill, and we go not up the hill. So I've tried to keep my wheels on the grass, but that's not working because we still skidded off. So I'm trying to figure out if I can go right, and I'm sure Brent would take this as an opportunity to say I could use some driving lessons or something like that, but it's actually genuinely quite difficult. I can't figure out. I can't even get that side. Luckily, this is the busiest road at the busiest time of day, so everyone can watch me go like this, backwards and forwards. Hi. And I can't take it fast because we could actually flip this vehicle. These cars are very top heavy. In an escape route. Oh, I think we should try that way. I'm worried about what that escape route hides though in the long grass. Let's try that way. Oh, whoopsie. We're sliding everywhere. I'm scared of this escape route. Scared is perhaps the wrong word. I'm wary of it. So everyone's wondering about why I don't just go on the grass. That side has got a really steep drop down to the road. So I might do that, but I've seen there's a whole load of rocks down there. So I'm worried about that. And then this way, I actually couldn't get onto the grass on the right properly. There's a lot of grass here. Hopefully there's no holes. I'm going to figure this out, I promise. Eventually I'm going to figure out how to do this. So while we edge our way around, let's go and join James, who I imagine isn't having similar problems.
We're not having the same problems at all. We are having some trouble keeping up with young Hothana, the little chief. And that is because he's stalking through some very thick thickets. Now he's moving onto a road. We thought he was going to catch a duiker until fairly recently. Oh good, he's crossing into that block, which is marginally thinner than the windy, impenetrable forest. Yes, Benny's topical. What? Benny's whatical? Leopards and wild dogs are absolutely fierce enemies. They hate each other. Absolutely detest each other. Wild dogs will chase leopards into trees if they can. They'll kill them if they can. And wild dogs, especially at least leopards, especially male ones, have been known to go to wild dog dens, pull the puppies out and kill them. And they've also been known to steal from wild dogs. They're very fast, obviously, and they're going leaping in once a wild dog killer's been made, grab the kill, and if there's a tree nearby, they'll take it up the tree. This is again quite close to where Thandi and Tlalamba were earlier this morning. And he just looks like he's got something in his nose. I'd love just for a day to be able to smell like a leopard or a hyena. Okay, let's move. Just keep following behind. There's a little bit of a game path through here. It's not going to be easy, I shan't tell you a lie. We can try. Here we go. Ow, 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 ow. Now he's going straight towards the termite mound where I last saw Thandi and Tlalamba this morning. This is going to crunch a bit, everybody. Alright, we've made it through. We're into a bit of a clearing. Let's go across to Steve. Apparently he has got what's known as an antelope.
Well, we do. Fergus is being the artiste this afternoon, and we have got the sunset below the antelope, the impala's head. If you just move his head, it was in a beautiful spot a moment before. Come on, Impala, stop being so rude. Let us see the sun behind you. There it is. As it's... Oh, well, we tried. The sun is moving though, folks. It's very hard to keep the sun from going down. Well, it's impossible, in fact. But this group of impala are feeding down in the drainage line. You actually can see that their faces are on the ground. They are feeding on all of the fallen leaves of the tambuti tree. A tree that, if the leaves were on the tree, would actually be poisonous to these animals. There you can see scoffing up all of the nutrients. There's still a fair amount of protein. I can't tell you exactly how much, but there's still quite a lot of protein in the leaf once it's on the ground, and it's obviously contracted, or the sap, the poisonous sap that we always talk about, has been taken back into the plant itself and not lost as it's falling on the ground. So the impala making good use of that. Lots of animals do, in fact. Most animals, most herbivores that feed on grass and leaves will actually feed on them. I've even seen zebra feeding on fallen leaves from the tambuti tree to supplement a little bit of their diet when times are getting tough. And this is the toughest time, August to September, before the rains come, that these animals really need to do everything they can to stay fit, because Hosana is on his way in this direction, I believe, by the sounds of it, and Thandi and Tlalamba are not too far away either. Thankfully, though, the wind has dropped. These impala have a bit of respite from the hunting predator that they can't hear. Now I think they can hear it, but we're now in the stillness of the drainage line, in an area where most animals do like to hang out when it is windy. And because the wind's dropped, no doubt the predators will stop moving. Let's go to James and see if Hosana's still on the move.
Well, not really. He seems to have stopped entirely, but interestingly, he stopped entirely where Thandi and Tlalamba were this morning, and he's definitely smelling them. So he's followed them precisely to where they were this morning, and now he's looking around thinking, where is my auntie and where is my niece sister? I wish to see them and be social with them. and perhaps if sister's killed something, I'll have some of that, because I'm big and strong, and she might allow me to chase her off it. Now we're witnessing here, I guess, a sort of prelude, if you like, to that one sighting we had when Thandi had a kill in a tree, a large impala, a little bit east of where we are now, and we arrived there one morning to find Hosana there as well. And I suspect quite strongly that this is precisely what happened. He picked up their scent, he followed them, and when he found them, he found that they had a kill. Now what's also interesting, of course, is that hyenas do the same thing. They will follow leopards and lions, but obviously a leopard is a much less intimidating prospect than a lion. They did the same thing with the cheetah as well in the Mara. When we were following the 5 Musketeer brothers, they were constantly harassed by hyenas. So I've spoken about the fact that I'm not convinced that they smell very strongly to their prey. And what's interesting is that obviously they smell relatively strongly to each other, and so they do leave some sort of scent, but not, I don't believe, too strongly to their prey, but certainly to each other. Poofy Poof, I believe you have another query, and I have said your name now, so I'll be able to take the question. Look at this. Poofy Poof, it is absolutely true that leopard's scent marking smells like popcorn. I've got no idea what it tastes like. It looks like pee, which is of course what it is. It smells like a dodgy cinema. He spotted something, but he's been doing this all afternoon. I keep wondering if he hasn't spotted Thandi coming back to fetch Tlalamba, or Tlalamba playing around here. Let me just move around, Seb. We might actually get a view, especially if it's another leopard. He could also have heard Tlalamba perhaps chuffing at her mother, or her mother doing a contact call. Turn off now. I can't see anything that he might have seen. Let me look into the bushes to see if I can make out some spots or grey fur of a duiker. Nothing. He's definitely seen something. Now the wind is coming from behind him, so I don't think he smelt something. He's seen or heard. His tail very nicely poised there next to a piece of elephant dung. Make an excellent still life for an art student, I imagine. What can you see, boy? The fact that he hasn't engaged in any kind of stalking position or posture tells me that he's not seen something he can eat. Concentrating really hard. Affirmative. I'm just on the game drive radio. Affirmative. There's one station here, Animal Mobile, northwest from Twin Dams Road towards Wahlberg's Eagle's Nest Road. Now I'm thinking something he's seen to eat. And stay behind him. Sorry, Seb. Let me just move back a bit. Naturally, there's a giant tree behind us. I'm going to turn around so that I can drive forward and not reverse into anything. So we will stay behind him. Could easily be a scrubber. He likes to try his luck with scrubbers. Let's figure out what it was. We're going to have to get over this log, sorry, not branch. I suppose it was a branch at one stage. It's now a large log. Hold on. Oh, oh, oh. Yes, it's entirely possible that he has smelt something delicious coming from camp. Now, what are we looking at here? Now this is starting to look serious. Oh, he's heard Beethoven. Yes, he could easily have heard Beethoven, except I do know the taste of music of most of my colleagues, and most of them may have heard of Beethoven, but almost certainly couldn't name one thing that he'd written. I can't see anything yet. No, this is not a family reunion that he's trying to bring to bear here. This is hunting. I can see some grass twitching beyond here. Now the decision comes whether we go to the unscheduled broadcast, everybody. Yeah, let's go for it, Meg. He's going to pounce. Hello everybody, welcome to the Western Kruger National Park. That is a 2.5-year-old male leopard, and he looks like he is about to pounce. This is completely live, and the sun has just set here at Djuma Private Game Reserve. Look at this. It is a wonderful sighting of a male leopard in full stalk mode. I don't know what he's stalking. We can't tell. Please ask any questions that you would like to. We'd love to hear from you while we watch and see what this young male leopard, whose name is Horsana, is going to try and catch. My name is James. That is relatively unimportant, of course, and you can ask me anything you like. Sebastian's on camera. Let's go back to the cat. Too slow. Now, you can see that his attention is entirely focused beyond this little thicket of fallen down tree and grass that's grown in amongst it, and I suspect that is one of the following things: a duiker, which is a small antelope, a steenbok, which is another kind of small antelope but would generally be in a slightly more open area, or the ubiquitous scrub hare. There are scrub hares all over the place. They are like rabbits, in case you don't know. Hitish, he most certainly is ready to pounce. You can see his... Ooh, here we go. He's crawling. He just wants to be that little bit closer before he pounces. Here he goes. We can't move the car. We're going to have to just wait and see. Wait for this thing to play out. Watch how he settles his back legs, getting a good grip. And he's gone. And I think he missed. Oh, well, that's a slight letdown. Let's go and see quickly. Yes, there he is, looking ashamed. No, he's got something. He's got something. Hold on, everyone. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Absolutely hopeless. Bad luck, boy. He's a little bit tired now, shame. Bad luck, fellow. I think it was a scrub hare, everybody. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Daniel, wasn't that cool to watch? It was really great. You can hear the bird's alarm calling at him now. And so his tail's gone up in a flag of truce. He looks like he's coming towards us for a bit of comfort. Oh, I'm sorry, fellow. If I had some nuts... Sebastian, you're carrying some nuts, aren't you? Should we give him some nuts? No, he's seen something behind us. It might just be my right foot. Bad luck. You were very patient. Well done. That was fantastic. All right, everyone. We're going to carry on watching him. We have about half an hour left of our drive, I think, and if you do want to join us for the rest, go to YouTube, type in Safari Live. We've got 2 people out in the Masai Mara, 1 person out in the Masai Mara looking for lions, and another one here at Djuma. We're going to follow Hosana, the leopard. Alrighty, let's go across to the Mara. That was cool, wasn't it? He does that quite a lot though, doesn't he? So let's go back up to the Mara and find out if Jamie's had luck.
It's nice to hear that Hassan is doing as well as he's doing. I mean, I know he just missed his whatever he was trying to catch, but it's always wonderful for us in the Mara to hear news of a very special little leopard that we spent so much time with when he was a lot smaller. I can't believe, looking at all of your screenshots, just how big he's got. I was going to go to the Olololos. I'm sorry, I've turned around. I'm running in the opposite direction because there's a storm about to hit that area. We'll have to try again for them tomorrow, rather. I think we will find ourselves not being able to film them at all, even if we could find them in the rain. Ronik, it's funny you should ask that. That's a question we sometimes ask of ourselves. Ronik's question is, do I think that a tiger would be able to thrive in the Mara? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it would really be taking them completely out of its natural habitat. I think it would survive. I think it would catch its own food. I think it would eat its own food. I think it would be very surprising to see a tiger. But I don't know if I would say thrive. And I don't know what would happen if it encountered a lion pride. I think the lions would kill it. A big lion pride. Or perhaps they'd be too intimidated by the size. I just don't know. I think it would probably...
Terribly sorry about that. I'm not sure what technical issue happened up there, but you are with us once again down in South Africa, in Djuma in the Sabi Sands. And we are slowly making our way around, seeing what we can find. We just had a warthog just appear and disappear. We can't get them on camera lately. We don't know what's going on with the warthogs. We've only had a few on camera this year, and they've been in the jaws of Hukumuri from the west. Haven't seen him in some time, so I don't know why the pigs are so scared. Dr. Mark, there most certainly are black mambas here. I've yet to see one this year, but Scott earlier this year had a black mamba interacting with a slender mongoose and a scrub hare. Needless to say, the scrub hare was the loser in the entire altercation. The black mamba, we think, bit the scrub hare. Then the mongoose fought off the black mamba and started dragging the hare away. Yes, and the black mamba came back and chased off the slender mongoose. The black mamba then tried to swallow the hare, but a black mamba's mouth is about this big and a hare is about this big. So I thought it wasn't going to happen. Scott managed to do 2 very nice broadcasts on that, and eventually the mamba realized he'd bitten off more than he can chew and let it go. And what became of the hare, we don't know. But yes, black mambas do occur. excuse me, Herbie, who we work with, who helps us on the walks, the game scout, he points out many trees and termite mounds and says there's a black mamba in there. Yeah, they're around. I haven't seen one. I don't know why I haven't seen one. Maybe I've just been lucky. I'm not afraid of them though. Maybe that's why. You don't manifest them. I think people who are afraid of certain things will manifest them towards themselves, and they'll constantly be like, no, I don't like snakes, and there'll just be snakes everywhere you look. Megs is scared of snakes, and do you see lots of snakes, Megs? She's never seen one. Okay, well, you don't manifest them then. But I've seen 15 or so black mambas in my life, and they've all been pretty relaxed, pretty chilled, just going about their business. This whole story of black mambas being so dangerous, they're dangerous if they bite you. If you leave them alone, they've got no reason to bite you, so invariably move off from you. They might see you and they'll move away. They're quite characteristic lying across the road, and they just look like a black pipe on the road, and I've nearly driven over a couple. They have the ability to almost put 2/3 of their body in the air, so they can go from completely lying on the road to extending onto the other side, and a lot of people talk about them coming in from the side and biting you in the window, and never seen it. Never heard a story of it actually happening, but it's, you know, there's a lot of movies out there give snakes a really bad name, you know, bad name.
I've never seen a black mamba on a plane.
Yeah, Ferg says he's never seen a black mamba on a plane. Never. And snakes breaking down doors, that sort of stuff doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. They just want to get away. Snakes are very vulnerable. They're very vulnerable. They've got a head that's all the way over there, this long body that's at serious risk, so they show quite a bit of aggression when you get too close to them because they're terrified. They really are the losing side of things. So Megs is scared of a snake being in her bed when she gets in. Well, Megs, you must make sure you leave your door closed. That is the best thing to do. And also keeping rooms clean is very important from a hygiene point of view, because what happens is dirty rooms attract rodents, and rodents, well, they attract snakes. We've all seen the snake that does this thing with its tongue. Yeah, well, what the snake is doing with that tongue is it's picking up all sorts of chemicals and pheromones and smells in the air, and it is following them, and it will go into your bedroom because you ate too many cookies and left crumbs on the floor and attracted the mice. Well, it is then your problem if the snake comes inside. Well, anyway, talking about things around our rooms and close to camp, James is with our very special Hosanna.
Round 48 of Hosanna's hunting for the 23rd of August 2018. He's seen something in that thicket, he thinks. I'm going to go with bunny again. I'm looking with me binoculars to see if there is a bunny there. I see not a bunny. I see nothing. We're going to wait right here though. I do not wish to disturb him, of course. Rusty, this vehicle I'm in, is creaking like a sailboat from the 1600s. There are also Franklin's alarm calling down away to the left. Maybe they've seen Thandi or Thalamba. Now the patience game again for young Hosanna. In case you're wondering, you are not colourblind suddenly. Oh, grab it! What's he got? What did he chase? Did you see? Naturally it went behind a bush. Of course it did. Why wouldn't it have run behind a bush? I suspect it was a bunny.
It ran towards him, I think.
Yeah, I think it ran towards him and then away. Sorry, Lisa, I missed that. That was quite fun. Yes, Lisa, I think he is very hungry. He definitely missed. I wonder what it was. I think bunnies are really hard to catch, maybe. There's still impala alarm calling down where I think they saw him, but maybe they're just a bit freaked out by the sight of him. Or Tundi's made an appearance, or Tingana's made an appearance. Right, let's move. Melanie, in my experience, yes, most of the cats like to get up and hunt at dusk. Leopards, dusk. I suppose lions at when it gets dark. Lions would now be sort of starting to reaffirm their bonds and doing their waking up and stretching their ears in front of us there. They wouldn't be moving just yet, and then as it got dark, the lions would move. But leopards do seem to be a little bit more crepuscular in their activities. Oh goodness, there are a lot of stumps and things around here. There he is in front of us. And just be able to pick him up there as he walks past. We'll tuck in behind him. Now, when we were watching lions or cheetah hunting in the Mara, well, then what we try and do is we get behind the prey, so that we have a two-shot of the animal and the predator coming towards the prey. Out here, we would destroy any possible chance he had of killing something if we tried to do that, because you simply cannot see far enough, and so you've got to stay behind the predator. Otherwise, the prey is going to suspect something is up. Shall I just go over this one, Seb? I think not. Let's give it a little nudge to show it our displeasure at its presence. There we are, he's still in front of us. Okay, so apparently, sorry, I'm just on the radio there. Apparently Tristan can hear an animal, a leopard alarm calling, and I can hear some impala alarming. The leopard is not alarm calling, the leopard is just calling. Right, here we go, round 49. No, he stopped. Alrighty. I'm just going to give the radio an update. Peter, we're now heading towards Ingwe Alley. Animal is about to hit Ingwe Alley. Best approach from Twin Dams. So did you get that, what I was saying? Tristan can hear a leopard calling. It is obviously sawing. Check out the dam cam. It could easily be Tingana. And I think that's what those impala were continuing to alarm call at. Round 49? Yes? Seen a bunny? No. Let's just wait a second here. Just gonna ease forward a little bit. Yeah, we're into round 49, everybody. Here we go. Come on, Hosanna. What do you got here? We'll just move round the thicket here. Yeah, he's definitely stalking. I think it's a Franklin. Sorry, I've got lodged on a stick. Oh, you can see him. There are two Franklins moving towards him. I've yet to see a leopard kill a Franklin. What was that that he did? Did he just give a little burp or something?
Check, he's growling at them.
He's growling at them. Unless Tundi's here somewhere. So the only other animal I can see is a Franklin walking straight towards him. Straight towards him. You'll get a two-shot.
don't see the Franklin.
The Franklin is just behind, obviously, the tree. It's coming straight towards him. If you go to the... He's just behind that tree now. No. No, keep... Okay, let's just stay on him.
Yeah.
Look how his ears have gone flat. He's not pleased. I don't think he likes feathers. I can't... There, it's there. Now you can see it. It is...
Okay.
Let's see what he does. He doesn't look very pleased, I must say. Peter just come round the termite mound to the eastern side of the termite mound. He's stalking a Franklin. Yeah, there are two coming towards him. He could easily just drop off and go to sleep there.
Oh, okay, I see that.
You got it now?
Yeah.
They are not far from him. You can see him looking towards them. Well, Jennifer, it rakes all sorts. Everybody has their own tastes, but yes, I think he is quite hungry. Leopards are very opportunistic hunters, which means that they will often eat things that you'd think they wouldn't. Lizards and birds, fish. They can catch them. I'm afraid I think this vehicle coming in has unfortunately disturbed him somewhat, but let's see. Franklin is now walking around the back of him. Mr. and Mrs. Franklin walking around the back of him. And he's thinking, that really wasn't worth it at all, was it? All right, let us go to the Wolf, who is now pretending he's a lighthouse.
Wolf the lighthouse. Thanks, James. No ships coming my way. We did... I was doing a bit of a route to see if we could maybe bump Tingana on our way back, and then I was thinking to myself, is Tristan going to tell us anytime soon that he's going to be calling? And next thing you know, he says Tingana's calling, or a male leopard is calling. So we're checking out the area. I'm not sure exactly. We just came past Vuitella watching hole, nothing there. The impala and wildebeest are quite relaxed. He might be exactly where we found him the other day. But we did hear him this morning calling from, it seemed to me to be quite far north from where we are. So hopefully we can get you a last minute leopard from our side. Mina Moo, you want to know what our prettiest snake potentially is? Well, most people wouldn't think snakes are pretty, but I think the tiger snake is very, very pretty. It almost looks like a coral snake, a very sort of black and white and orange striped snake. A very pretty thing. They're mildly venomous. They do bite, more out of just to give you a bit of a fright than anything else, but mildly venomous. Pretty snake. I'm sorry I can't show you one right now. I don't have one visible on my book. But it seems like the curious Hosana is very hungry. He's stalking absolutely everything.
Round 50, and it's a scrub hare this time, I'm told. I'm not going to move. Let's give him a chance. Scrub hares are just becoming active, just coming out of their forms. Now, Peter is just in front of us. I think a lot of you have met him. Oh, there, you can see a little bit of movement there. He's a little bit closer than we are, and he can see that there is a scrub hare there. Come on, Hosana. You've tried hard enough today, my boy. The world is not a fair place, but maybe now your skills will be brought to bear. He's covered beautifully, or arched beautifully, by the leadwood branch. I think it's a leadwood branch. Doesn't matter what branch it is. It's a lichen-covered branch. It's a spike-thorn branch. There you could just see the movement of the scrub hare. And now there is more alarm calling further to the south of where he's sitting. And either they've seen Tundi again, or they've spotted him Come on, boy. Rabbit pie for supper. It's making me quite hungry. I quite like rabbit pie for supper. I've never had rabbit pie. Can you see the flash? There, you can see it moving. Top right of your screen. You can just see the flash of its eye every so often. It turns towards the camera. There. You see it there?
No.
Just you keep watching. There's that beastly branch on the right hand side, and just to the left of the beastly branch there is something moving in the thicket beyond, and I saw its eye flash. Here we go. Come on, boy. Come on. I'm sorry, Bunny. I don't mean to be mean to you, but Osana needs to eat. Ravinda, he is determined. He's also hungry, and hungry, of course, breeds determination, even in the most lackadaisical teenager. Can you see the movement now? Come on, Sebastian, surely you can see it.
Things on my screen, though, James.
Oh, yes,
Maybe
you're
that's
actually
why.
right. You're looking at battery things.
Yeah, lots of icons.
It's here.
Okay.
Has it moved? Has it come towards him? There, in the eye. Go a little bit right. You can see its eye there. On the right-hand side of that foul branch, you can see its eye flashing. Now it's moving left. Now it's moving left. It's coming around the thicket.
Oh,
there
now
it
I
is.
see it. Yeah.
Is it a... or is it a duiker?
No, it's a bunny.
Is it a bunny?
Mm.
It's a bunny. Oh, come on, Hosanna. Get yourself a bunny. I apologize, Bunny. I'm sorry. I don't know if he's going to get this thing. I can barely see him anymore. And isn't that wonderful? The eye shining in the infrared. That is amazing.
It's a great two-shot, eh?
It's a fantastic two-shot. This is why we're behind him and not with the scrub hare. Scrub hare's gone down to feed. Scratching its ear. He's going to have to be closer than that. Those scrub hares are very fast. Come on, boy. Bunny for dinner, yum yum bunny. Bunny in a pie, bunny on a stick. I know that's a little bit insensitive to the bunny, and I apologize. I know that we shouldn't revel in death, and we're definitely not going to revel in the death of the bunny. We'll be very grateful for its sacrifice, should it unfortunately shuffle off this mortal coil as a result of Hosanna biting it. I can't actually tell from this picture how close he is to the bunny. Well, yes, Coastsider, a cat has to eat. We have been asked before whether or not the cats here couldn't be vegetarians and stop all their killing. The answer to that is no. I'm not going to expand on why. He's so poised and ready. I know that we are coming to the end of the drive, but we will extend it and just see what happens here. See what plays out. Meg, if you want to do an unscheduled, we can. I don't mind. It's up to you. There's an eye and there's a leopard, but I can't move. Bunny's turned its back. Bunny's turned the other way. Bunny has no idea that leopard is here. Bunny is naturally going to go behind bush and make kill impossible to see. Bunny's looking up straight at leopard. Can Bunny see leopard? No one knows. Bunny does not see leopard. Bunny has put his head down again and is looking for little green forbs to eat in the ground, while Hosanna is stalking closer. This is what is known as a compressed shot, everybody, which means that he looks much closer than he actually is to the bunny. Excuse me shifting, but my left buttock is becoming extremely stiff. Bunny is now moving straight towards Hosanna. Bunny is looking at Hosanna. Bunny is not looking at Hosanna. Bunny's head is down. Leopard is moving. Wait. Surely Bunny can see Hosanna. Oh, that Hosanna, that was absolutely pathetic. Hopeless. All right, everybody, I think we're going to leave him. All right, well, we've got 60 seconds left. Shall we have a quick look at the moon for the credits? Peter, I'm going to leave him with you. There we are. A nice way to end. The tree very nicely framing the moon and a planet. Which planet? I don't know, I'm afraid. I'm going to guess at Jupiter. Is it Jupiter? Could be Jupiter. Don't know. Tomorrow morning, remember, we have got our rehearsal, so we'll only be live for an hour between 6 and 7 Central African time. Same again on Saturday for our TV show. Well, then you can get us from 5 to 7. And from Sunday, there won't be a show on Sunday, and then everything will be entirely normal from Sunday afternoon. All right, everybody, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you for your questions and comments. It's been a joy and a privilege to have you with us. Bye-bye.